Chapter 699. The central area was no longer divided into good and bad people, only the successful and the dead. Yi Qinghan and the others had turned the central area into the tomb of the strong, the home of the elites, forever slumbering here. More and more corpses were piling up. Most of the strong moved alone, so how could they withstand the joint attack of 5 people? After 3 days of killing, they had killed 4 high gods, more than 30 prefecture masters, and more than 10 young elite geniuses. As for the universe rings, there were more than 60 of them. Whether it was the ravenous wolf plane or the mythological plane, as long as they were not friends, they were enemies. The divine sparks were distributed, 1 for each person. Mecca's cultivation was the lowest, so she did not have much to contribute. She only got 7 or 8 prefecture master-level divine sparks, but she was already very satisfied. Yi Qinghan got a wood divine spark, but it was of no use to him, so he could only leave it for the people of the inner sect. Apart from the 4 high gods' rings, which were divided among Yi Qinghan, Li Feng, Sinian Shui, and Shui, the other 50 or so rings were divided equally. The corpses had been eaten by the star-twining vine, so it could not eat any more. The energy contained in the high gods' bodies was enough for it to eat a full meal, and it would not need to eat for a long time. It had forcibly gone from a low god to a medium god, and it had become even more powerful. Everyone hid again, preparing to attack the next batch of strong people. As time passed, more and more people entered the central area, and the frequency became faster and faster. Just as the 3rd day was about to end, another 2 people were teleported in at the same time. The 5 people's pupils shrank, because the 2 people who came in were both high gods. Even if the 5 of them joined forces, they could not kill them. The 2 of them joined forces and soon found Yi Qinghan and the others. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan and the others retreated to the center of the hall and looked at the 2 people together. They found that the 2 people were very unfamiliar, and they were obviously from the ravenous wolf plane. I did not expect only the 5 of you to enter the central area. Take out all the treasures, and I will spare your lives. A white-haired old man with eagle-like eyes could steal one's soul, and one look was enough to make one shudder. What's the point of talking nonsense with a bunch of ants? Just kill them and take them. The other person's voice was hoarse, as if someone was squeezing his throat. His voice was very ear-piercing and unbearable. If anyone from the ravenous wolf plane were here, they would definitely recognize these 2 higher god priests as the famous hawkwolf demons. They were cruel and merciless to the extreme. Almost all those who offended them would be slaughtered. Many innocent people were implicated. Their style made the strongest expert in the greedy wolf plane, greedy wolf exalted, feel helpless and unwilling to offend them. The first to speak was called Chen Ying, and the second was called Fierce Tiger. His personality was like a fierce tiger, and he was extremely greedy. The corners of Yi Qinghan's and the others' mouths twitched as they glared coldly. They had originally wanted to cooperate with them, but it looked like there was no need for that. Chen Ying and Fierce Tiger closed in on the 5 of them. Yi Qinghan and company had no choice but to retreat. There was nowhere to retreat, and there was only so much space. Chen Ying and Fierce Tiger seemed to be deliberately teasing the 5 of them, wanting them to beg for mercy in despair. Especially when they saw Shui Air and Mecca licking their lips with their bright red tongues, the greed in their eyes was self-evident. The 4 of you, kill the one on the left. Leave the one on the right to me. Come and help me immediately after you're done. Yi Qinghan secretly transmitted his voice and said in a low voice, How long can we last? Li Feng frowned. Even he couldn't take on a high god by himself. I don't know. We'll only know after we fight. We can't delay any longer. If another high god comes, we'll definitely die. Yi Qinghan and the other 4 separated to the sides. Fierce Tiger grinned evilly and closed in on Yi Qinghan. After being forced into a corner, Yi Qinghan's eyes emitted a cold light. He stepped on the corner of the wall, turned into an azure dragon, and punched out. 5 elements dragon fist, 5 dragons in one. Roar. 5 heavenly dragons appeared behind Yi Qinghan's back. With lightning speed, they followed Yi Qinghan and pounced on Fierce Tiger. With a roar, the 5 dragons merged into one and turned into a huge fist, ruthlessly rushing towards Fierce Tiger. Fierce Tiger smiled disdainfully and raised his big hand. His seemingly light palm smashed towards Yi Qinghan with the power to destroy heaven and earth, wanting to suppress him. At this moment, Li Feng and the other 3 also made their move. They attacked from 4 different directions, ruthlessly and without mercy. Boom! Yi Qinghan's fist landed on Fierce Tiger's palm. Fierce Tiger also had a tyrannical physical body. When the fist and palm collided, the rumbling sound was endless, and the aftershock spread out in all directions. Thud, 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 both of them retreated more than 10 steps. Fierce Tiger's eyes were filled with surprise. He felt a burning pain in his palm, as if he was being burned by fire. Moreover, the fire was constantly drilling into his body, burning his limbs and bones. Even his soul was experiencing a heart-wrenching pain. Fierce Tiger frowned. He clenched his bark-like hand, and his divine power surged, forcing the fire element out of his body. I haven't felt pain for a long time. Kid, you actually made me feel pain for a long time. I have decided to give you a death sentence, and you will die in pain. Fierce Tiger stared at Yi Qinghan. His ear-piercing voice seemed to tear apart the eardrums. Yi Qinghan sneered. His left hand clasped the 10 directions seal in the palm of his hand, and his right fist clenched. Blue veins popped out all over his body, and his dragon blood boiled as he activated the god's severing glove. From now on, not only will you feel pain, I will also let you experience the taste of death. Yi Qinghan roared. He twisted his waist, and all the divine power in his body gathered in his right fist. With a kick, the inscription on the stone slab shone brightly, and he shot out like a cannonball. Hua! Roar! The 13th grade fire source was vast and mighty, forming a giant dragon. A giant dragon also rushed out from behind him, and with a loud roar, its momentum was terrifying. Fierce Tiger disdainfully snorted. He clenched his fists, and the path of his divine power suddenly twisted. His divine power poured out, and it was strengthened by dozens of times. The peak power smashed into Yi Qinghan's iron fist. Boom! A vast power was enough to destroy heaven and earth. It pierced through time and space, and directly hit Yi Qinghan's fist. Kacha, the ear-piercing sound of broken bones echoed in the center. Yi Qinghan lost control of his body, but the god's severing glove suddenly shone brightly, and attacked on its own. It actually blasted out all the power that it had absorbed from the primal chaos source, and directly sent Fierce Tiger flying 1,000 meters, crashing into the stone wall. Bang! Puff! Ah! Fierce Tiger screamed and spat out a mouthful of essence blood. His body almost broke the inscription on the stone wall. His whole body's flesh and blood were all scattered, and the order of his flesh and blood was disrupted. His head hit the wall and then hit the stone slab. He almost fainted on the spot. Yi Qinghan was not having it easy. He was smashed into the wall by the rebounding force, and almost suffered a considerable amount of force. He was dizzy, and blood was flowing out of his 7 orifices. He tried to get up several times, but he was stunned. His eyes were full of golden blood, and his right hand was trembling. Even his body could not support it, and his soul could not even feel his body. With great difficulty, he half knelt on the ground. He looked up at Fierce Tiger, and saw that his right arm was only left with golden battle bones. His flesh and blood were scattered on the ground, and the god's protective garment on his body was shattered. Chapter 700. Yi Qinghan glared at Fierce Tiger. Blood dripped from his eyes, blurring his vision. Fierce Tiger was even more miserable. The order of his flesh and blood had changed. No matter how strong his soul was, he could not control his body. If he wanted to attack again, he would have to heal his body first. Yi Qinghan could not move. He was the same. However, Yi Qinghan had a spirit pet, a spirit plant like the star-twining vine. Go! Kill him! Roar! Screech! The god-slaying eagle soared into the sky. It opened its sharp claws and tore at the flesh of the high god. It threw fierce tiger away. The little golden crow spat out a mouthful of fire and drowned him. Fierce tiger let out a mournful roar. Even a high god could not withstand the 13th grade fire source. The heart-wrenching pain made him taste the taste of death. The star-twining vines became sharp knives, constantly stabbing into his body. The flames even burned the vines. However, he could not care less at this time. The more fierce tiger's vitality was consumed, the harder it would be for him to heal his body. The divine bird roared, "Tear him apart! Devour his flesh and blood!" Whoosh, 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 the rainbow snake turned into a heavenly dragon. It directly tore off Fierce Tiger's left arm and swallowed it into its stomach. The fire was extinguished. Besides half of Fierce Tiger's flesh and blood, he was only left with skin and bones. He emitted a foul smell. At this moment, he was in despair. He let out a mournful roar, wanting to use his soul to kill these divine beasts. Although these powerful mythological beasts were powerful, their souls were still far inferior compared to the superior god-priests. Their bodies flew backward, roaring and wailing. Only the mythological bird was fine. Its soul was so powerful that it couldn't be harmed, but it didn't have any offensive power. F***CKU. Look at this divine bird's roasted pig head. What? Another mouthful of fire, which was not even a 12th grade fire source, drowned Fierce Tiger's body again. Fierce Tiger's body trembled and the fire was extinguished. Only his skeleton was left. He could still stand up, let out a sinister laugh, and pounced at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan held the 10 directions seal tightly. His eyes were like lightning. All the divine power in his body was mobilized to activate the 10 directions seal. 10 directions returned to 1, suppress him. The 10 directions seal continued to grow in size as it charged towards Fierce Tiger. Fierce Tiger was shocked and retreated continuously. However, the speed of the 10 directions seal was too fast and it suppressed him directly. Crack! The 10 directions seal had actually crushed the bones of a superior god. Fierce Tiger didn't even have time to scream before he was suppressed. His bones were crushed into powder, and his godhead was also suppressed under the 10 directions seal. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't escape from the 10 directions seal's shackles. No. This is impossible. Fierce Tiger's soul was still struggling. He couldn't believe that he had lost to a little guy. Fierce Tiger's cultivation was not weak. At the very least, among the superior gods, he could be ranked in the middle. However, he did not expect that Yi Qinghan's god-severing gloves would take the initiative to attack him and severely injure him. He also did not expect that the 10 directions seal could almost be classified as a master god weapon. Caught off guard, a dignified high-level god priest was suppressed by a mid-level god priest. He could not help but say that he was unlucky. Boom! Yi Qinghan pulled out the spear on his back. It was also a high-level god weapon. He directly hit the stone floor and stood up with the help of the spear. He walked to the side of the 10 directions seal and reached out to take it. He then pressed the godhead on the stone floor with the spear. A large amount of destructive power surged out. The soul-suppressing orb suppressed the superior god priest's godhead with the power to destroy souls. Yi Qinghan obtained another superior godhead, the strength godhead. This godhead might be useful to Yi Qinghan in the later stages. He did not hesitate to put it away. On the other side, Chen Ying did not expect that Fierce Tiger would be defeated so quickly by a little guy. He was also flustered by the attacks of 4 people. The attack power of the two girls might be negligible, but the strength of Li Feng and Xian Yanxue made him extremely vigilant. After 3 days of attacks, Xian Yanxue and Li Feng cooperated seamlessly. Under their cooperation, they actually suppressed Chen Ying. Whoosh, whoosh. Xue Er's path of snow was suppressed here, but she could still freeze souls and suppress Chen Ying's blood. Chen Ying's godhead was almost frozen, and his combat power decreased by more than 20%. Mecha was purely picking up scraps. As long as Chen Ying was forced to the point where he had no chance to resist, she would hold her sword and slash from behind. Anyway, she had a 5th-tier divine protective garment on her, which could block 30% to 50% of Chen Ying's full-strength attack. Bang! Xian Yanxue stabbed Chen Ying's lower abdomen. How could Chen Ying not defend himself? However, Li Feng's 2 swords stabbed his chest and head at the same time. Although they were blocked by the divine power barrier, they still created a lot of impact. Li Feng saw that his sword attack was blocked, so he raised his leg and kicked Chen Ying's temple. Boom! Chen Ying was sent crashing into a dragon pillar at the side by this kick. The thick dragon pillar swayed for a moment, and his brain almost burst out from the impact. At that moment, the attacks of the 4 people bombarded Chen Ying's body like raindrops, and he was flustered. After a while, he lost his mind and could only rely on the dragon pillar to take the hit. At that moment, Yi Qinghan suddenly jumped up and used his knee to hit Chen Ying's head from the left. Bang! Chen Ying's body was like a kite with a broken string. He was sent flying dozens of meters and hit the stone wall on the side. Poochie! Li Feng and Xian Yanxue seized the opportunity and stabbed 3 swords into Chen Ying's throat, lower abdomen, and head at the same time. The defensive barrier was broken by Yi Qinghan's knee. The 3 swords were unstoppable and directly wiped out all of Chen Ying's vitality. The 5 of them worked together to suppress Chen Ying's soul and obtained another divine spark. Huff, huff, huff. The 5 of them were breathing heavily. Mecha and Xue Er's peaks heaved up and down, and their bodies were covered in blood. The 5 of them were seriously injured, especially Yi Qinghan. He was so tired that he could not stand up. He was completely relying on his spear to stabilize himself. Yi Qinghan and the others looked at each other. They did not feel the slightest joy of victory. At this time, any expert could kill the 5 of them. Swallow the divine pills. Heal your injuries at all costs, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. At this time, the divine pills that Yi Qinghan and the others had obtained earlier played a crucial role. Yi Qinghan took out 3 divine pills. The Heaven Reversal Pill was a divine treasure that could revive the dead. He directly threw one to Xue and Xian Yanxue, and swallowed one himself. However, before he could heal his injuries, the central area shone brightly. More than 20 experts appeared at the same time. There were no less than 7 or 8 superior god priests from the greedy wolf plane and 5 or 6 superior god priests from the mythology plane. In addition, there were some top young talents and prefecture masters. As soon as they appeared, they drew their swords and faced each other. Yi Qinghan and the others breathing stagnated. They hurriedly huddled together with their backs to the stone pillars, afraid that they would be attacked by the crowd. Chapter 701. The 2 corpses were still lying on the side. The experts of the Ravenous Wolf Plane recognized Chen Ying and Fierce Tiger and looked at Yi Qinghan and the others in surprise. 5 young men and 2 young women had actually killed the 2 most troublesome superior god priests of the Ravenous Wolf Plane. The exalted Ravenous Wolf narrowed his eyes and stared at Yi Qinghan and the others. He realized that the strongest were Li Feng, Yi Qinghan, and Xian Yanxue. As for Xue, her great path of snow was directly suppressed here, and did not have much combat power. Mecha was also a grave robber, and did not have the ability to kill a superior god priest. In other words, the 3 young men had killed 2 superior god priests. The people from the mythology plane who came with them were Xian Yenshua's ancestor, the evil dominator, Shangqing High God, Yuqing High God, Qiankuan High God, and 3 unfamiliar faces. As for the younger generation, the wind and cloud 3 heavens were all here. As for the others, most of them had the combat power of a prefecture master. However, there was one that Yi Qinghan knew he could rope in as a teammate. The person with abnormal pupils. She had also come in. The 9 remoteness lords seemed to be targeted by the weapon spirit. Even though he had a map, he was still stuck outside and could not enter at all. Perhaps his combat power was too strong and he could control the entire situation by himself. In the end, all the paths were blocked and he was forced out of the tomb of the gods. Yi Qinghan summoned the person with abnormal pupils. He took out a divine sword from his back and handed it to her. He secretly transmitted his voice, "Cooperate this time, and this superior god weapon is yours." The person with abnormal pupils' eyes flashed. She reached out and grabbed the divine sword. She gently moved the scabbard and the sword light tore through the void. The sword's whistling sound startled everyone. So far, the best godly weapon that had appeared was the god-breaking fist glove, and the rest were high-level godly weapons. Most of the high-level godly weapons were in the hands of Yi Qinghan and the others, so very few people had obtained high-level godly weapons. Now that a high-level godly weapon had suddenly appeared, even someone like Greedy Wolf Exalted was tempted. How can I miss out on such a good thing? The man with other pupils stared at Yi Qinghan, but Yi Qinghan did not dare to look into the man's eyes. Those eyes were too frightening. Help us defend. We need to recover from our injuries. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to trust her. He could only trust her now. Of course, there was still the evil dominator, but it was difficult for him to fight alone. With the protection of 2 strong cultivators, he could at least buy them some time. Coincidentally, the evil dominator walked over and stood in front of the 5 of them. Yi Qinghan and the others quickly sat cross-legged on the ground and swallowed the heaven reversal pills. The divine pills melted as soon as they entered their mouth. Their divine powers flowed through their limbs and bones, quickly healing their injured bodies. No matter how good the elixir was, it would still take time to heal his injured body. He didn't need too much time, at least an hour. But in the face of so many strong cultivators, who would give them an hour? Just as the weapon spirit did not say that this place was a land of death, the divine bird rushed out and said with a sneer, "Great gods, this divine bird has found the last treasure location in the central area. There are master god weapons and secret techniques inside. Does anyone want to know where the treasure location is?" The Greedy Wolf Exalted looked to be in his 30s, not even 40 yet. He was very dignified. One look and you could tell that he was a person who had been in a high position for a long time. He had a square face and was imposing without being angry. When he heard the divine bird's words, he immediately said in a low voice, "Tell me where the treasure location is, and I can grant you a lifetime of prosperity." Everyone stared at the divine bird. In this central area, other than a few dragon pillars and dragon throne, where else could there be a treasure location? There's no free lunch in this world. If you want to get benefits, you have to pay something. Even if it's just a little effort, you still have to pay. The divine bird sneered and pretended not to point it out. It was just stalling for time. If it could make these people fight with each other, it would be perfect. Looking at the divine bird's sneaky face, the heaven and earth high god had a bad feeling. He said hurriedly, "This bird is a spirit-devouring godly parrot. It's full of nonsense. Don't believe it." The divine bird flapped its wings and said proudly, "Since you don't want to believe me, then forget it. Of course, there will be people who are willing to cooperate with me." The strong cultivators of the Greedy Wolf dimension didn't understand the divine bird and said, "We are willing to cooperate with you. As long as you tell us where the treasure location is, you can have 10% of it." The divine bird raised its head and said disdainfully, I don't have enough spiritual energy. Otherwise, I would have opened the treasure location myself. Now, there are so many high-level gods here. I can choose any high-level gods to open the treasure location. Those who are willing to give me 30% of the treasure are everywhere. Then what do you want? Just tell me. The greedy wolf, exalted, replied calmly. He was confident that no one here could compete with him. After the divine bird told him where the treasure location was, he would have the final say in everything. The divine bird pretended to be deep in thought as it jumped left and right. It danced for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, causing everyone's confidence to be worn away. A superior god priest frowned and was about to get angry when the divine bird said slowly, I have a grudge against someone. Whoever helps me get rid of him, I will cooperate with that person. Now, even the greedy wolf, exalted, lost his patience. The divine bird's method of stalling for time was too clumsy. However, they had to give it face. Just say it. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will kill you. The greedy wolf, exalted, scolded harshly in anger. When the greedy wolf, exalted, was angry, the people here felt the aura in the entire space stagnated. They couldn't even use their godly power. It seemed that the greedy wolf, exalted, was not as powerful as the 9 serenities master. Humph! I'm the godly emperor of all beasts. How can I be ordered around by you? All the artifact spirits in this palace are my good brothers. If you dare to be arrogant in front of me again, I will kill you. The divine bird instantly released its domineering aura, which was similar to the aura of Yi Qinghan when he showed his power. The greedy wolf exhaled deeply. Of course, he was not scared by the divine bird. Instead, he was infuriated. Crack! The greedy wolf, exalted, clenched his iron fists and said coldly, Are you provoking me again? You don't believe that I can kick you out of the central area, do you? Or you don't believe in the power of the great artifact spirit? The divine bird was still domineering and disguised itself well. However, some people were startled by its excellent performance. Obviously, this tomb of the god of sin was a huge godly artifact, probably a master artifact. It was normal for it to have an artifact spirit. If the divine bird could communicate with the artifact, how could the treasures here be coveted by others? The greedy wolf, exalted, stared at the divine bird with squinted eyes and a disdainful smile. There was killing intent in his eyes. He had always been high and mighty. Even the priests at the superior position didn't dare to talk to him in this way, let alone a feathered beast. Humph! Humph! I'll summon the will of the great artifact spirit and ask you to respect the great artifact spirit. In this place, the great artifact spirit is the boss, and I'm the second boss. Whoever dares to disobey me will be buried here forever with the tomb of the god of sin. The divine bird said proudly, Here is the decree of the great artifact spirit. You are too greedy. You will be punished. Only 10 of you who are in the central area can leave this place alive. The rest will die. This is a punishment as well as an experience. Why don't you show your gratitude and accept the decree? How dare you? You are indeed full of nonsense. A priest at the superior position was infuriated. He waved his hand and was about to suppress the divine bird. It's right. Only 10 of you who are in the central area can leave this place. The rest will die. A majestic voice echoed in the palace. Then, the entire space started to move and shrink. It was squeezing toward the center of the palace. The onlookers were shocked. If the space squeezed into the center of the palace, all of them would be crushed to death. All of their lives were in the hands of the artifact spirit. Chapter 702. Everyone was stunned by the artifact spirit's action. They didn't expect the divine bird to intimidate them. If these people died, the divine bird and Yi Qinghan would die too. The artifact spirit was only bluffing. Soon, the divine tomb returned to its original state. The greedy wolf exulted, being thought the divine bird was the artifact spirit's representative and didn't dare to offend it. At this moment, apart from the divine bird who was showing off, everyone was pale with fright. An hour later, Yi Qinghan had completely healed all the wounds on his body. He had even gained a portion of his divine energy, and his realm had also risen. After exchanging a few blows with the high-level priests, Yi Qinghan understood that the high-level priests were not invincible. Their bodies had fatal flaws, and as long as they fought in close combat, even the high-level priests would die. The divine bird returned to Yi Qinghan's shoulder after the 5 people's injuries were healed. It didn't mention a word about the treasures in the central area. The artifact spirit didn't say anything else. Everyone was on high alert. They didn't dare to attack first, but they had to defend themselves. As time went by, more and more people gathered. The stone walls around the central area were expanding like a bottomless pit, harvesting the lives of powerful experts. Only 10 people could leave this place alive. Huff, huff, huff. Many prefecture lords started to breathe rapidly. They couldn't control their emotions. Only 10 people could leave, and they were all high god priests. The prefecture lords had no chance at all. But with so many high god priests around, who could say for sure that they could leave this place alive? At the critical moment, many people would attack the strongest in order to survive. As for the rest, they would have to rely on luck. On the 6th day, more than 1,000 people had gathered. On the 8th day, more than 3,000 people had gathered. In the end, no one was gloating over their misfortune. They only smiled bitterly. On the last day, the central area became a huge space. It was like an independent world. More than 5,000 people had gathered here. The 9 Serenity's lord had been kicked out by the artifact spirit. Yi Qinghan couldn't be counted on. The Dragon Abyss High Deity had also arrived, but he didn't join hands with Yi Qinghan. If he wanted to survive, he had to join hands with the High God Priest. And the stronger, the better. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All of a sudden, the stone walls began to tremble and huge stone doors appeared one after another. They were all blocked by the stone walls, and were not connected to each other. The deep stone caves were like the giant mouths of monsters that wanted to devour all living things in the world. Congratulations on arriving at Hell's Gate. Let's play a little game. It's divided into 3 stages. The first stage is that there are a total of 99 gates in the central area. Each gate has 10 primal chaos sources. Those who obtain the primal chaos sources can live. Those who don't will die. With the divine source of primal chaos, you can enter the second stage, and then the third stage. Those who pass can live, the rest will die. The weapon spirit's tone was calm. He didn't care about the lives of these experts. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. No one knew whether this artifact spirit was testing people according to the will of the divine tomb's master, or whether it was toying with others with its own will. You can choose from the 99 gates of hell. Remember, only 10 people can walk out from each gate. Moreover, they must be people who have obtained the primal chaos divine source. The first stage only lasts for 3 days. Plunder as many lives as you like. Let's begin, the artifact spirit said coldly. Everyone was terrified. Primal chaos divine source. Many of them had never heard of it before. Even if it was right in front of them, could they recognize it? However, Yi Qinghan and Xian Yanshue's eyes lit up. No one knew more about the primal chaos divine source than the 2 of them. The 2 of them looked at each other with a smile in their eyes. Then, the 7 of them rushed towards one of the gates of hell. Swoosh! As soon as they entered the gates of hell, the Milky Way rotated, yin and yang flowed backward, and the space changed. The 7 of them appeared on a huge star. There was no vitality at all, only stones and mountains. It was gray and there was no spiritual chi. They couldn't fly, the gravity was so great that even walking was difficult. Yi Qinghan's physical body was superb. He walked as if he was flying. His eyes flickered as he wandered around the lonely star, trying to find the primal chaos divine source. The primal chaos divine source was no different from stones. At least from the outside, one couldn't tell the difference. Moreover, the primal chaos divine source had naturally formed inscriptions, so the primal chaos divine source wouldn't leak out. Unless one had seen the primal chaos divine source before, they wouldn't be able to recognize it. The star was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it. It was almost impossible to find 10 primal chaos divine source in only 3 days. But could such a thing stump the divine bird? Follow the great divine emperor of all beasts. You'll definitely earn enough. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Humans couldn't fly, but it didn't mean that the divine bird couldn't. At this moment, it soared into the sky and rushed towards a valley. As soon as it entered the valley, Yi Qinghan's divine bird let out a long cry, as if it had sensed something. Whoosh! The divine bird turned into an eagle and dived into the depths. The 7 of them were as fast as lightning as they entered the valley. There was a huge round stone in the valley. On the stone was a fist-sized stone. Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and grabbed it. He placed it in his palm and said calmly, "This is the primal chaos divine source. Continue searching. Now, other than our teammates, everyone else is our enemy. Take all 10 primal chaos divine source in your hand." The divine bird was excited. An indescribable sense of accomplishment surged in its heart. It turned and rushed in another direction. More and more experts rushed into the star. There were about 90 of them. Soon, they spread out and searched for the primal chaos divine source. The divine bird was very fast. It led the group and quickly found 3 primal chaos divine sources. However, it was blocked by 2 superior god priests. The 2 of them relied on the fact that they had 2 superior god priests, while Yi Qinghan only had 1 evil dominator. They were prepared to kill Yi Qinghan and the others to take the primal chaos divine source. They didn't expect to be beaten up by Yi Qinghan and the others. Even the primal chaos divine source couldn't escape. They were all suppressed on the spot. After taking the Qian Kuan ring and the primal chaos divine source, Yi Qinghan led the group to continue searching for the primal chaos divine source. Boundless divine power surged out of the star. Experts from all sides were fighting. They couldn't recognize the primal chaos divine source. They could only kill the others and keep 10 people alive. Then, they would slowly search for it. Yi Qinghan and the others searched for a day and a night. They found 5 primal chaos divine sources and began to hide. They tried their best to avoid fighting with others. "Someone tell me, what is the primal chaos divine source?" A deep voice roared, reverberating through the star. More than one person wanted to ask this question. However, at this time, other than teammates, who were all mortal enemies, who would say it out loud? So strong. Yi Qinghan was 100 miles away, but he felt his ears ringing. He couldn't help but look into the depth. A middle-aged man was holding a large machete. He left behind footprints with every step he took. Even the mountain rocks were crushed by him. He is indeed very strong. He should be stronger than me. He is from the ravenous wolf plain. I don't know him. The evil dominator nodded in agreement. If the evil dominator didn't know this person, the others wouldn't be able to recognize him either. At this time, if they wanted to cooperate, they had to know the other party's background. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to casually trust others. At this moment, that man actually rushed towards Yi Qinghan like a monster. He pushed through the mountain range. Wherever he went, no one dared to stop him. "Old man evil, tell me, what the hell is the primal chaos divine source?" That man actually recognized the evil dominator. In the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of everyone. His voice was like thunder. It shocked Mecha and the others so much that their faces turned pale. Chapter 703. The man was about 2 meters tall, and his machete was even bigger than Yi Qinghan's. It was even more clumsy. He walked with vigor, and his dignified face was imposing. He called out the evil dominator's identity, so he obviously knew who the evil dominator was. The evil dominator was surprised. He thought for a long time. He should be able to remember such a strong person. After all, such a man was very distinguishable. However, he could not remember where he had seen him before. "I'm the frenzied blade cannon monarch. Have you gone senile? How many years has it been, and you don't remember me?" the man asked angrily. Frenzied blade cannon monarch? The evil dominator finally remembered. Back then, when this guy was still a medium god, he was training in the voracious wolf dimension. He was surrounded by dozens of masters of the same level. The evil dominator happened to pass by and reached out to save him. At that time, he saw the frenzied sword king barging in like a mountain cannon, and he gave him a nickname, Frenzied Sword Cannon King. Now, he was no longer the Frenzied Blade Cannon Monarch, but the Frenzied Blade War Reverend. He was quite famous in the Greedy Wolf Plain. "So it's you, kid. I didn't expect you to have grown to this level." The evil dominator was surprised. Hee, thanks to you, your few words enlightened me. My cultivation soared all the way. After 3,000 years of seclusion, I successfully entered the high god realm. I was looking for you at that time. Later, I found out that you were from the myth plane. During peacetime, I can't enter your plane. I didn't expect to meet you here. The Frenzied Blade War Reverend laughed. Since we met again, it's fate. Team up with us. Even if we can't guarantee that you will pass, we can at least pass this level. The evil dominator looked at the Frenzied Blade War Reverend and suddenly wanted to rope him in. The Frenzied Blade War Reverend glanced at Yi Qinghan and the others and frowned. "Why did you bring so many burdens? Cut the crap. If it weren't for these little ones, you and I wouldn't even pass the first level." The evil dominator reprimanded impolitely. After they introduced themselves, Yi Qinghan took out the primal chaos divinity source and explained it to him. Only then did the Frenzied Blade War Reverend understand what the primal chaos divinity source was. His simple and honest expression was a little awkward. Indeed, there was always something that one could learn from others. No matter how powerful one was, there would be things that one did not know. Yi Qinghan and the Frenzied Blade War Reverend discussed for a while, and came to an agreement. Yi Qinghan and the others would help him clear the first stage, but if he needed to contribute later, the War Reverend would have to go all out. Frenzied Blade War Reverend made a heavy oath. Although Yi Qinghan did not believe in oaths, Frenzied Blade War Reverend did look simple and honest. He was different from others, so he chose to believe him for the time being. After they got to know each other better, they realized that Frenzied Blade War Reverend was very easygoing. He was not as arrogant and difficult to get along with as the other superior god priest. When everyone called him Cannon King, he would only smile foolishly and feel happy. He felt that everyone called him that because they approved of him. With the Cannon King joining them, the 8 of them no longer kept a low profile. They began to kill experts and snatch their Qian Kuan rings. In 2 days, they found another 4 pieces of primal chaos divinity source. Logically speaking, they should have enough primal chaos divinity source. There was only 1 piece left, so there was no need to continue searching. However, Yi Qinghan continued to let the divine bird dig out the last piece. The primal chaos divinity source was extremely valuable. As long as one knew how to use it, it was equivalent to having an immortal body. Yi Qinghan kept 3 pieces of primal chaos divinity source and gave the remaining 7 to them. He reminded them, "Let's continue to pretend to search. Don't let others know that we have already found it. Otherwise, we will definitely be attacked." 8 days later, there were still more than 40 people left on the planet. Many of them were going crazy. Until now, they had not found the primal chaos divinity source, and were even more clueless. They were so angry that they killed anyone they saw. Prefecture masters and young people became cannon fodder. They were being chased by more than 10 superior god priests. There were a total of 8 people in Yi Qinghan's group. There were 2 superior god priests, so no one dared to provoke them. However, there were always some ignorant fools. 3 superior god priests joined forces to kill the 8 of them. In the end, they were surrounded by the 8 of them. None of the 3 superior gods managed to escape. There were fewer and fewer superior god priests on the planet. Yi Qinghan and his group became more and more aggressive. They began to take the initiative to plunder resources. Since the primal chaos divinity source was in their hands, this group of people would die sooner or later. It would be a waste to leave the treasures here. After a series of massacres, there were only a dozen people left on the planet and 2 superior god priests. The superior god priests despaired. It was the last day, and not a single primal chaos divinity source had appeared. They could only wait for death. This old man can't accept this. The superior god priests roared. They were all existences that led powerful sects and clans. They were even the ancestors of divine nations. However, at this time they were like ants. They couldn't even keep their lives. The manor-head-level existences and the young geniuses cautiously retreated to the other side and huddled together. They could only pray that the artifact spirit was joking and wouldn't really leave them behind. When Yi Qinghan and the others saw that the remaining 10 or so people had completely formed a group, they began to retreat, no longer fighting. 10 days were up. The stone door appeared in front of everyone. However, it was sealed. There was a groove on the stone door that was about the same size as the primal chaos divinity source. It seemed like the artifact spirit wasn't joking. Without the primal chaos divinity source, there was no way out. If they were trapped in this godforsaken place, they might as well self-destruct and die. Even the superior god priests couldn't stand living in complete despair. Only when Yi Qinghan and his group retreated to the stone door did everyone realize that they had obtained the primal chaos divinity source. The eyes of the 2 superior god priests lit up. They immediately rushed towards Yi Qinghan and his group. "Fellow Taoists, please wait. Can you let us see what the primal chaos divinity source looks like? If you have extra, please sell it to us. We are willing to pay any price." One of the middle-aged superior god priests said in a deep voice. This superior god priest was very young. At least, he was much younger than the evil dominator. He was probably comparable to the Canon King. "Frenzied Blade War Reverend? I am Shao Xingyang, the 3rd-generation head of the Shao family in the Greedy Wolf Plain. I beg you to save my life. I am willing to follow you to death." The other middle-aged man said. The 2 middle-aged men had only lived for half of their lives. How could they be willing to stay here and struggle at death's door? As long as they could get out alive, they would be willing to be slaves or servants, let alone follow you to death. The Frenzied Blade War Reverend looked at the 2. The Shao family was one of the brighter families in the Greedy Wolf Plain. They had won the hearts of the people in their territory. Moreover, Shao Xingyang's combat strength was comparable to his. He was someone worth befriending. As for the other person, the evil dominator and the Canon King didn't know him. Only Shao Xingyang knew him. The Canon King looked at Yi Qinghan and explained Shao Xingyang's identity and character. He wanted to ask for Shao Xingyang's life. Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment. The others in the outside world had obviously given up on cooperating with him. At this time, finding 1 or 2 more helpers would increase his chances of survival. He nodded and agreed. As for the other person, Yi Qinghan looked straight at Shao Xingyang. If Shao Xingyang was willing to vouch for his identity, he could give him the other primal chaos divinity source. Chapter 704. Shao Xingyang saw that Yi Qinghan was looking at him and was secretly shocked. He thought to himself, could it be that the leader of this group is actually a mid-level god? Judging from his expression, he must have found the great god source and has extra. "Young master, I am Shao Xingyang. As long as you help me leave this place, I am willing to give you all my wealth and resources and protect you for the rest of my life. Xiao Jingyang bowed and said, Sure, but how do I trust you? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. I am willing to listen to your orders. Xiao Jingyang gave up his bottom line in order to survive. I need to control your divinity. I hope you understand that at times like this, everyone will choose to seek benefits and avoid harm, choosing to ally with the strong. I'm not confident that I can make you give up everything to ally with me with so many mid-god priests, Yi Qinghan said calmly. No problem. I believe that the friend of frenzied blade war, Reverend, won't ask me to do anything despicable. Xiao Jingyang agreed without hesitation. The other high god priest was anxious and kept hinting at Xiao Jingyang, hoping that he would say something good. Xiao Jingyang released his divine sense and did not defend himself. He allowed Yi Qinghan's soul to rush into his sea of consciousness and place a strand of destruction energy in his godhead. Souls could not defend against physical attack. In other words, if Yi Qinghan wanted to kill him, it would only take a single thought. After Yi Qinghan controlled Xiao Jingyang, he gave him a piece of great god source of chaos. Xiao Jingyang was overjoyed. The feeling of escaping from death made him very excited. But soon, Xiao Jingyang looked at the other high god priest and said respectfully, Young master, this is Reverend Xian Qing from the Voracious Wolf Plain. He is a low-key person and rarely goes out, but he is trustworthy. I have known him for tens of thousands of years. If you have extra great god source of chaos, please give him a piece. He will wholeheartedly assist you. With Xiao Jingyang's guarantee, Yi Qinghan nodded and placed another strand of destruction energy into Reverend Xian Qing's godhead. In order to survive, Reverend Xian Qing didn't dare to resist and allowed Yi Qinghan to invade his godhead. After entering the godhead, Yi Qinghan discovered that this Xian Qing Zun was actually the same as Emperor Yi, a heavenly soul godhead. The 10 divine sources had all appeared. The other young geniuses and strong cultivators at the level of the prefecture lords were in despair. They no longer wanted to compete for the primal chaos divine sources. They could only ask them to pass on their last words. Fellow Taoists, please help me pass a message to my family. I'm the patriarch of the Li family of the Yu province of the Ravenous Wolf Plain. This cosmos ring is my reward. Please. I'm the lord of the Clear River prefecture of the Voracious Wolf Plain. Please pass on a message, War Venerable. More than a dozen strong cultivators automatically offered up their cosmos rings and opportunities. They didn't want to live, but they wanted to pass on their last words. There were rings from the Ravenous Wolf Plain and the Mythical Plain. Yi Qinghan took the Mythical Plain's cosmos ring, and Xiao Jingyang took the Ravenous Wolf Plain's cosmos ring before leaving. Once the primal chaos divine sources were inserted into the groove, they would be teleported out. The group of 10 were all teleported to the central area. They discovered that less than 10 strong cultivators came out from the other Hell's Gate. Some Hell's Gates didn't even have a single person come out. They were all wiped out. More than 8,000 strong cultivators were instantly eliminated until only 500 were left. Here, everything was fair. The high god priests were no longer high and mighty. If they didn't have the opportunity to obtain the primal chaos divine sources, they could only be locked in the stone door and slowly wait for death. Some elite geniuses had heaven-defying luck and successfully passed the first stage. In the first stage, all the prefecture lords were eliminated. They died tragically behind the stone door. There were still more than 300 elites and more than 100 high god priests left. It was very tragic. The atmosphere in the central area was unusually gloomy. No one spoke. Everyone was waiting for the weapon spirit to announce the second stage. Yi Qinghan glanced around and found that High God Qiankuan and High God Wu Yu were still alive. However, Central Heavenly God was no longer there. It seemed like he was already dead. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He stood aside with Zhong Kuang in his hand. Lone Wolf and Lord Mystic Moon stood out among the crowd. They didn't rely on luck to walk out alive. They relied on their true strength. Both of them were as graceful as jade. One of them was as cold as a wolf and was unapproachable. The other was as ethereal as the moon and as high and mighty as an immortal king. Even the high god priests weren't willing to stand close to them because it was too dangerous. Congratulations! Those who can walk out are the best. As for those who can't, they can only wait for death. Otherwise, they can choose to commit suicide. The weapon spirit's announcement was equivalent to announcing the end of the first stage. Nearly 8,000 strong cultivators had died in the first stage. Any one of them was an existence that could dominate a region. Huff, 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 a greedy wolf high god exhaled a few mouthfuls of murky air. His eyes were burning with anger. He had always regarded everyone in the world as ant. He had never thought that he would be trampled on like that. He could die at any time. Many of the high god priests couldn't bear the pressure, let alone the geniuses and elite. Many of them broke down on the spot. Some of them even burst into tears. The second stage is very simple. It's a hunting game. The central area is divided into 10 areas. 10 ancient ferocious beasts will attack you. As long as you can survive until the end, you can enter the third stage. If you can kill or subdue the ferocious beasts, you can go straight to the outside of the tomb of the god of sin. But it's a bit difficult because the ancient ferocious beasts have the bloodline of the main god. They have been sealed here for many years and haven't eaten anything. Perhaps more than half of the people here will become their food. The weapon spirit said coldly. You're a freak. Someone couldn't bear the pressure and cursed wildly. Lunatic! Lunatic! I want to leave this place. The young people with weak willpower scratched their ears and cheeks as if they had gone crazy. This stage is not a test. It's just a punishment for trespassing here. The tomb of the great main god is not to be blasphemed. If you want to reap without sowing, you have to face the cruel punishment. The weapon spirit said coldly, as if it had emotions. An artifact spirit with emotions was terrifying. It would have its own will, and when it became playful, it would directly kill everyone. Yi Qinghan was short of breath. 10 areas, 10 ancient ferocious beasts, and all of them were at the peak of the high god priests. He was afraid that ordinary people in this group would die here. The 10 people couldn't help but stand back to back and shorten the distance between them. These 10 ancient ferocious beasts are space-type divine beasts. They are the space-time flying leopard, the celestial spirit wolf, the hell tiger, the space war dragon, the thunder cat, the ancient celestial scale, the son of the ancient space main god, and the son of the giant dragon, the Pishio. They can travel through space and appear anywhere in the tomb of the god of sin at will. Stone walls and inscriptions can't stop them. From now on, you can either subdue them, die, or feed them with your flesh and blood. The weapon spirit reminded them again. It seemed that it was deliberately frightening them and wanted to see them panic and despair. Chapter 705. The 10 godly beasts all had the bloodline of the main gods. They were all at the peak of the superior god worshippers and space-type godly beasts. They could travel through space, and even the tomb of the god of sin couldn't stop them. How could these people fight against them? At this moment, even the high-level priests were in despair, let alone the elite. Greedy Wolf Exalted stared at the 10 most powerful people, including Shangqing Exalted God, Qiankuan Exalted God, Wuyo Exalted God, Frenzied Blade War Holiness, Xiao Xingyang, and the 2 top-level high-level priests beside him. Finally, he stared at Lone Wolf and Master Mystic Moon and said in a low voice, "If we cooperate, we may have a chance to survive." Shangqing chose to cooperate with Greedy Wolf Exalted without hesitation. As for Qiankuan and Wuyo, they agreed without hesitation. As for Lone Wolf and Master Mystic Moon, they also nodded silently, not saying much. However, Furious Saber wore holiness, and Xiao Xingyang shook their heads and refused the invitation of Greedy Wolf High Holiness, the most powerful one among them. They stood firmly by Yi Qinghan's side, not only because they were under Yi Qinghan's control, but also because they knew that if they wanted to live longer in this hopeless place, they needed more than strength, but also luck. There were many powerful people in the superior god worshippers. Master Xianyue chose Long Yuan and Yuqing. Soon, they gathered together and formed the most powerful group. Then, more than 10 superior god worshippers joined this group. Greedy Wolf Exalted wouldn't give up on these cannon fodders. Gradually, almost all the real superior god worshippers gathered together. There were about 40 of them. On Yi Qinghan's side, the Frenzied Blade and Xiao Xingyang had recruited 7 superior god worshippers. Including the Patriarch of the Martial Kingdom, there were 11 superior god worshippers in total. It was a good force. As for the other groups, they were all waiting for death. Before the team formation was complete, a low roar shook the central area. A huge black tiger appeared out of thin air and grabbed a superior god priest. Then, it disappeared into thin air. The superior god priest only had time to scream and leave behind a few drops of blood before he disappeared. Hell Tiger! It was unknown who screamed, but everyone was so scared that their faces turned pale. Let's work together and try to take down a godly beast. Then we can all leave. Greedy Wolf Exalted roared in a low voice. Meow! A soft meow made everyone's hair stand on end. Then, a beam of white light blinded them. They all covered their eyes with their hands. Puff, a huge golden cat, whose eyes were filled with green light and was almost all skin and bones due to hunger, spat out a golden bolt of lightning from its mouth. It directly pierced through the divine body of a high-level deity priest, devouring all of his vitality and essence. Even his divinity became motionless as it grabbed him with its claws and swallowed him into its stomach. Swoosh! Godly worshippers! Godly god worshipper worshippers as god level god. Were godly god demon of the superior god level. Realm level godly worshippers worshipper. The more powerhouses there were, the more they would attract the mutated beasts. They had been starved for far too long and had been sealed for who knew how long. Their savage natures could no longer be suppressed, so they would definitely look for experts to replenish their bloodline power. Howl! Howl! With the roar of a leopard and the howl of a wolf, 2 silhouettes appeared at the periphery of the Tanlang group like lightning. They grabbed a powerhouse and disappeared. Yi Qinghan and the others felt their hair stand on end. These mutated divine beasts were too terrifying. The superior god priests were unable to put up any resistance against them. They appeared out of thin air and disappeared into thin air. No one could do anything to them. Just as Yi Qinghan and company were on their guard, a figure appeared in their line of sight. It had 2 horns on its head and a pair of short wings on its back. Its 4 stubby limbs made it look like a miniature dragon or a dragon horse. It was only 2 meters long and 1 meter tall. Its mouth was filled with fangs that seemed to be indestructible. It could bite through the void and swallow all things. Pishio. This was the creature on the dome of the tomb of the god of sin, the son of the dragon. Pai Xiu's target was Yi Qinghan. This was because Yi Qinghan had the bloodline power that it wanted. It could instantly replenish the losses it had suffered over the years. Roar! Pai Xiu's front limbs stood up as its sharp claws tore through the void. It bared its fangs and was about to pounce on Yi Qinghan. It was too fast, so fast that Yi Qinghan could not resist. He only had time to wave his iron fist and strike at Pai Xiu's front limbs. Boom! Pai Xiu's fangs had already touched Yi Qinghan's neck, but its front limbs suddenly suffered a heavy blow. The god-severing glove suddenly erupted and sent it flying. Roar! Pai Xiu let out a dragon's roar. It was incomparably angry. It coveted Yi Qinghan's dragon blood even more. It was too hungry and had less than 10% of its combat strength. Otherwise, it would have bitten off Yi Qinghan's head. Be it speed or strength, Pai Xiu was suppressed to the lowest. When Yi Qinghan touched Pai Xiu, he felt the blood in his body burn. He had infinite strength and veins popped out all over his body. He wanted to transform into a dragon. Roar, roar. Yi Qinghan let out a long roar and transformed into a dragon. A true ancient dragon with a high-level bloodline. It had dragon horns and a long beard. It was majestic. A dragon had appeared. Not only were all the powerhouses shocked, even the space-type mythological beasts were shocked, especially the Pai Xiu. Looking at the giant dragon that Yi Qinghan had transformed into, it was actually somewhat dumbfounded. It had always thought that Yi Qinghan's flesh and blood could make up for its lost essence, but it never thought that the blood in Yi Qinghan's body was actually dragon blood. Pai Xiu, the son of a dragon. What was it most afraid of? Of course, it was a dragon. Yi Qinghan opened its mouth and roared. Its sharp claws tore through the void. It looked down at Pai Xiu from above. With a swing of its long tail, it shook the space. Pai Xiu trembled and howled. It lowered its head as if it was wronged. It slowly curled up and flew to Yi Qinghan's armpit. Tears flowed out involuntarily. It was like a hungry puppy that ran into its mother's arms. Yi Qinghan did not expect Pai Xiu to run to his chest to look for food. With a shake of his tiger body, he immediately returned to his human form and grabbed Pai Xiu's neck. Pai Xiu looked at Yi Qinghan in confusion. It did not know what to do. Yi Qinghan found that Pai Xiu was indeed crazy from hunger. He directly threw a superior deity divine spark to its mouth. Pai Xiu swallowed the deity divine spark in one gulp, completely stimulating its appetite. Its eyes turned green as it stared at Yi Qinghan. There was no other way. In order to feed this little thing, Yi Qinghan took out more than 10 strength recovery pills and heaven reversal pills and threw them all to it. With every bite, Pai Xiu's flesh would increase and it would become stronger. With a light shake, it shook off Yi Qinghan's big hand. Roar! Pai Xiu turned around and pounced on the other teams. It opened its mouth and swallowed. Whether it was a superior deity priest or a genius elite, they were all swallowed in an instant. Even the divine weapons became food in its mouth. There was no need to spit them out. At this moment, another ancient beast appeared. It was the son of the space master deity, the ancient heavenly Qilin. It had the bloodline of the ancient sacred beast Qilin. It fiercely pounced on Yi Qinghan and more than 10 people. It used its eyes to imprison the surrounding space, suppressing more than 10 people in place and making them unable to move. Yi Qinghan looked on helplessly as it ate a superior deity priest and rushed towards him. Its eyes were ferocious. It wanted to change the order of space, but it was powerless to resist. He was instantly shocked. Roar! At this moment, Pai Xiu swung its forelimbs and ruthlessly swung it at the ancient heavenly Qilin's huge body. Bang! The ancient heavenly Qilin was actually sent flying by its palm. It crashed into the stone wall and immediately disappeared. Roar, roar, roar! Pai Xiu continuously cried out softly. It rubbed against Yi Qinghan's waist as if it was expressing its goodwill. It was very cute and adorable. Yi Qinghan's body was drenched in cold sweat. He had already felt the aura of death just now. If Pai Xiu's speed was a bit slower, he would be finished. Yi Qinghan patted Pai Xiu's dragon horn. Soon after, he tore his left hand with one hand and forced out a large amount of blood for it to recover its battle strength. Pai Xiu swallowed the dragon blood in one gulp. It was unable to hold back its excitement as it jumped around in joy. Its entire body turned golden and emitted rays of light. It was as if an ancient sacred beast had descended. It was incomparably majestic. The people from the other teams were all stupefied. Among the 10 teams, other than Yi Qinghan's team, the others had suffered disastrous losses. Only 6 mutated divine beasts had appeared, and more than half of them were dead or injured. and Yi Qinghan's team had all subdued Pai Xiu in an instant. Many people were regretting and angry. Why didn't they choose Yi Qinghan's team? Long Yuan's face twitched, his fingertips trembled slightly. The one who regretted it the most was him. He originally had some relationship with Yi Qinghan. If he had chosen to cooperate with Yi Qinghan from the start, he wouldn't be in such a miserable state. Congratulations, you have subdued the son of the dragon, Pai Xiu. I didn't expect you to actually have the bloodline of the dragon. Are you a human or not? The voice of the artifact spirit suddenly resounded. The space instantly became still. Yi Qinghan recovered his arm. He had wasted a large amount of essence, and was abnormally tired. He said hoarsely, "Of course I'm a human. You can take 10 people with you and leave this place. Only 10 people. The others must stay." The artifact spirit said indifferently. Yi Qinghan was indifferent as he looked at his team. There were a total of 16 people. Since this group of people had chosen his team, he couldn't give up. "I choose to continue subduing a mutated divine beast. I won't leave anyone in the team behind," Yi Qinghan said firmly. The 8 higher god priests who joined later were incomparably moved. Their bodies trembled slightly. If Yi Qinghan's team left, these 8 higher god priests would probably become food for the divine beasts. "Bold, I like it. Then I'll satisfy you." The artifact spirit then retreated, and the space opened up again. In an instant 8 divine beasts appeared. Except for the space battle dragon, all the other divine beasts had appeared. The lightning cat was still as fast as lightning. The lightning it spat out was too sharp, and even the higher god priests couldn't block it. When it appeared for the 3rd time and charged towards Yi Qinghan's team, the person with different pupils suddenly removed the illusion on his face. A devilish face appeared, and 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes, rushing towards the lightning cat's eyes. The lightning cat's speed was too fast, and it just happened to collide with the person with different pupils. Its soul lost control, and it fell to the ground. Meow, the lightning cat was caught in the palm of the person with different pupils. Its 4 eyes stared at it, and the lightning cat couldn't move. Its eyes were filled with confusion, as if it saw endless mountains and rivers, and also as if it saw a supreme god. It was stunned and didn't dare to move. Chapter 706. The eyes of the man with different pupils shocked everyone, including the artifact spirit. In an instant, the artifact spirit froze the entire space. King with different pupils, the son of a sovereign god. The artifact spirit exclaimed in disbelief. It seemed that he knew the origin of the man with different pupils very well. The lightning cat and the man with different pupils looked at each other. The ferocious look in its eyes turned to fear and then to docility, slowly submitting. The tip of its tongue licked the hand of the man with different pupils and curled up in her hand. The second spatial divine beast was captured. The martial god nation's old ancestor and the others were excited, knowing that they had chosen the right person this time. As for the greedy wolf team, their eyes were wide open, unable to accept that the first ones to tame the spatial divine beast were actually 2 middle god priests. Congratulations, son of king with different pupils, you have successfully tamed the lightning cat. You are still qualified to take away 10 people. The artifact spirit calmed down and said slowly. Many thanks, Lord Artifact Spirit. The man with different pupils bowed. No need to thank me, this is your opportunity. Seeing that your ancestor was a good friend of my master, I will give you another big gift. The artifact spirit's voice paused, and a golden light rushed into the man's mind, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. No one knew what kind of opportunity the artifact spirit gave the man with different pupils, but looking at his ruddy complexion and rapid breathing, it must be a supreme treasure. Everyone was envious, and the divine bird was drooling, shouting, "Great artifact spirit god, seeing that I am the myriad beast divine emperor, give me some opportunity too." The artifact spirit did not listen to the divine bird's words and changed the topic. You too can leave with your team, or if you are interested, I can take you to play the third stage. The artifact spirit's voice became gloomy and cold. It seemed that the third stage would be terrifying, and less than 1 in 10 would be able to leave alive. Yi Qinghan and the man with different pupils each obtained a beast, enough to take away everyone in the team. There were even 5 extra spots, giving the others hope. Long Yuan wanted to say something but hesitated. He wanted to beg Yi Qinghan, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. After all, this was too embarrassing. He was the one who gave up on Yi Qinghan first, and now he was asking Yi Qinghan to save him. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't agree. Wait, young man, you still have 5 spots. Take me with you. I'm willing to give you an opportunity and take you as my disciple. Greedy Wolf Exalted said in a deep voice. Bestow? Accept me as a disciple? Are you worthy? Yi Qinghan was disdainful. Greedy Wolf Exalted's arrogant look was asking for a beating. Now that things had come to this, how could he still be so arrogant and say something like bestowal? He was simply courting death. Greedy Wolf Exalted's expression changed instantly, and he clenched his fists. However, he was an old fox after all. He knew that Yi Qinghan was even more arrogant, so he quickly corrected himself. Fellow cultivator, you misunderstood me. It was a slip of the tongue. As long as you are willing to give me a spot, I'm willing to give you a high-level deity artifact, a high-level deity art, and 100,000 top-grade deity crystals. Yi Qinghan looked at Greedy Wolf Exalted and knew that this kind of person would definitely burn the bridge after crossing the river. After they got out of here, Greedy Wolf Exalted would definitely look for him. Even if he couldn't get the high-level deity artifact and the high-level deity art, he would rob him of his opportunity. No need. Yi Qinghan refused coldly. Greedy Wolf Exalted was furious, and his eyes were filled with coldness. Yi. Mansion Lord Yi, I. Long Yuan forced a smile and was too embarrassed to say anything. Forget it. Just come with me. Consider it as repaying your kindness to me that day. Yi Qinghan sighed. Long Yuan's choice was right. At that point, anyone would choose to cooperate with the strong. After all, Long Yuan had lent him hundreds of high-level deity crystals, and Longshan had even actively sought for external help to help the Guangzhong fight in the arena. Long Yuan had to return the favor. Long Yuan's nose twitched and he quickly came to Yi Qinghan's side. He didn't want to say anything more, and he regretted that he didn't grab hold of such a great opportunity. This was no longer a simple matter of luck, but a matter of bottom line. He and Yi Qinghan had a good relationship. Logically speaking, even if they died, they should have formed a team and left. Unfortunately, they missed the opportunity. Even if they returned alive, there would be a layer of estrangement between them, and their relationship wouldn't be as good as before. Let's go. Yi Qinghan turned and was about to leave. Don't. There are still 4 spots left. You're such a wastrel. Not only did you give away 1 person, but you also want to give up 4 spots? The evil dominator said with disappointment. The others nodded, agreeing with the evil dominator. 4 spots were equivalent to 4 lives. Any superior deity would do anything to get them. Superior deity artifacts and secret techniques were probably the starting price. Bring 4 more people. We can earn some money. You have a lot of people in the Guangzhong, so you need some resources. Xian Yanxue also suggested. Shangqing and Yuqing heard this and immediately knew that their chance had come. They quickly said, Mansion Lord Yi, for Li Feng's sake bring us along. We're willing to give you 30% of the territory. The founding emperors of the 2 divine kingdoms were straightforward and generous, offering 30% of the territory as soon as they opened their mouths. Yi Qinghan looked at Li Feng. He could see that Yi Qinghan still cared a lot about Shangqing. His eyes were filled with hope that Yi Qinghan would agree. As the saying went, even if you don't look at the monk, you have to look at the Buddha. Shangqing was Li Feng's master after all. Moreover, Li Feng and Yi Qinghan had worked together from the beginning. He had to give him some face and nodded in agreement. Li Feng nodded gratefully. With 2 spots removed, there were only 2 spots left. At this time, wealth was just a worldly possession. Shangqing and Yuqing were not sad about losing 30% of the territory. Instead, they were excited. They knew that they could leave this place alive. Qinghan, I have a good friend. Can you bring him along? Canon King asked in a muffled voice. He had to give Frenzy Blade Canon King face. Yi Qinghan nodded and agreed. A superior god priest, who looked younger than Frenzy Blade Canon King, walked out from the crowd with a grateful face. There was only 1 spot left. Everyone madly increased the price. They wanted to get this spot even if they were willing to be slaves. However, Qianquan and Wuyo did not say anything. They knew that their relationship with Yi Qinghan was irreconcilable. Even if they said anything, it would be useless. Greed Exalted still wanted to change Yi Qinghan's mind. He offered the highest price. Frenzy Blade Canon King, Xiao Xingyang, and the evil Dominator were all tempted. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan was not tempted at all. That old man was too strong. Yi Qinghan did not feel safe at all. After being rejected by Yi Qinghan again and again, Greed Exalted was furious. His eyes were full of murderous intent. However, the more he acted like this, the more unlikely Yi Qinghan would take him away. The competition for the last spot was intense. Yi Qinghan focused his attention on the mythical realm. He noticed Zhenlong Overlord. His territory was not far from the crazy sect, and was not far from the entrance of the endless realms. Yi Qinghan was ready to subdue him and agreed to Zhenlong Overlord's submission. The 20 spots were all taken. The weapon spirit instantly teleported them out of the tomb of the god of sin. The divine bird was still not satisfied. It flattered the divine bird, hoping that the weapon spirit would give it an opportunity. However, the weapon spirit ignored it. It did not even give it half a spiritual crystal, let alone an opportunity. Outside the tomb of the god of sin, there were only people from the Plum tribe and the crazy sect. Most of the people who were eliminated had already left. They did not dare to stay here. When they saw Yi Qinghan and his group coming out, they immediately came to greet them. Yi Qinghan casually gave away a few superior divine weapons that he did not need. He gave the Sky Piercer to Yi Lingxian. Although it was valuable, it could not be compared to friendship. Yi Lingxian had helped him without any complaint. This divine weapon was worth giving away. The long spear was even more terrifying than the battle sky spear. Yi Qinghan shook it and directly pushed it to Zhan Chuanqiu. He smiled and said, Chuanqiu, I know you don't have a good weapon. This long spear is for you. Chapter 707. Zhan Chuanqiu brandished his spear, but it wasn't easy to control a high-tier divine weapon. His strength was still lacking, but Yi Qinghan had obtained many treasures in the tomb of the gods. It was just a matter of time before he became weak. Yi Qinghan smiled. He had profited this time. Looking around, he didn't see 9 Remoteness Lord anywhere. He couldn't help but worry. He didn't enter the center, nor was he in the periphery. Could something have happened to him? Where's my master? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. He was too powerful, so he was forcefully pushed out of the divine mausoleum by the implement spirit. His face was covered in dirt, and he has already returned. Yi Qinghan shrugged. It seemed that 9 Remoteness's strength was close to that of an overgod. What he lacked was the profound mysteries of the overgod realm. Once he broke through, he would become an overgod. You can all go back, Yi Qinghan said calmly. The martial god nation's patriarch bowed and cupped his fist. Manor Lord Yi, this old man owes you a life. If you have any requests in the future, this old man will do anything. Many thanks, Manor Lord Yi. If there's anything you need in the future, just send a message. This old man will do his best to support you." The 7 high-tier gods of the ravenous wolf plain bowed. Then I'll thank you in advance." Yi Qinghan nodded. This time, not only did he obtain treasures, but he also gained the friendship of these high-tier gods. It was an unexpected gain. Shangqing and Yuqing hesitated for a moment before deciding to keep their promise and give 1/3 of their territory to Crazed Manor. 1/3 of a divine nation's territory was huge. It was at least the size of 12 prefectures. Long Yuan didn't know what to say. He left quietly, thinking of a way to make up for this relationship. Yi Qinghan shook his head as he watched Yi Qinghan's desolate back. Actually, what he had done today wasn't considered overboard. It was just that he couldn't get over it. If he were to meet Yi Qinghan again in the future, he would feel inferior. The evil dominator left and did not ask Xianyan Shui to return. Only the frenzied sword cannon monarch was left. He was alone, but he was willing to stay in the Crazed Manor. Yi Qinghan welcomed him with open arms. As for Xiao Xingyang and Xiao Yu, Yi Qinghan had them leave the mythological realm and return to the ravenous wolf plain to settle their affairs. If they were willing to return, they could. What the Kuang Manor wanted were people who truly wanted to stay. Those who wanted to leave couldn't be kept. Xiao Xingyang bowed and flew away with his friends. Li Feng cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Brother Yi. I owe you a favor, and I'll repay you in the future. This opportunity was quite good, so I need to go back and prepare to break through to the High God realm." Li Feng was only a little more than 3,000 years old, but he was already preparing to break through to become a higher god. Even the Canon King was shocked by this. The higher god priests in the various major dimensions were all old monsters who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Those who were 50 or 60,000 years old were rare, and those who were under 10,000 years old were even rarer. As for those who were 3,000 years old, Li Feng was the first genius he had seen. "Farewell. I wish you success in advance. After you succeed, you must invite us to the banquet." Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and bowed. Li Feng was an opponent worthy of respect. No matter what grudges they had in the past, this cooperation could be erased. Li Feng nodded and said, "In 100 years, I will definitely invite all the heroes of the world to a banquet." After Li Feng finished speaking, he turned into a ray of sword light and left. "Let's go back too." Yi Qinghan led the insane sect back to the Crazed Manor. Along the way, he learned that Yi Linshan had been killed by High God Wu Yu. A cold light flashed in his eyes and he snorted coldly. "After we go back, we will reorganize and destroy God's organization." The group valiantly stepped out of the southern wasteland, flying into the sky and burrowing into the ground as they rushed towards the Crazed Manor. After a day, the group returned to the Crazed Manor and immediately went into seclusion in a different space. Yi Qinghan took out all the precious medicines and divine pills he had obtained, and distributed a large number of 5th-grade secret techniques to everyone. He also placed the godheads of the superior gods on the table for those who needed them. The Tianhun godhead was given to Emperor Yi. The god-slaying eagle obtained the only lord-level secret technique that had appeared so far. The eagle strikes the 9th heaven. However, the group could not cultivate it, and they could not even use it as a reference. They could not understand it at all. When the 9 Remoteness Lord found out about the lord-level secret technique, he rushed over from the 9 Remoteness plane and forcefully borrowed the eagle strikes the 9th heaven. The god-slaying eagle was helpless, and it could not compete with him. Everyone began to meditate on the secret technique of the 15th rank High God offering. Yi Qinghan, on the other hand, was rummaging through the Qiankuan rings and sorting out all the treasures. When he came to the items that were given to him in the first stage, he sighed and ordered his men to bring the Qiankuan rings and their last words back to their clans. After sorting out the treasures, Yi Qinghan accidentally discovered a 5th-grade fire elemental secret technique that could allow his fire origin to quickly advance to the 5th grade, which was the realm of a superior god. He was immediately overjoyed, and after returning to the alternate dimension and cultivating diligently for several decades, he finally advanced his fire origin to the 14th grade, which was the realm of a superior god great perfection. After that, he began to refine his physical body and raised it to the realm of a superior god great perfection. His cultivation had increased by more than 10 times. At this moment, even without the god's severing gloves, Yi Qinghan was confident that he could fight Li Feng. Several decades had passed in the different space, but only a few days had passed in the outside world. Everyone was cultivating diligently and comprehending the secret technique. Emperor Yi had been painstakingly cultivating and comprehending the godhood of a high-level heavenly soul in the alternate dimension. After 3 months in the outside world, he had finally been promoted to a high-level god priest. He was overjoyed. The crazed manor finally had a high-level god priest of its own. While the Kuang sect was cultivating diligently, the tomb of the god of sin suddenly went out of control. The gate opened and more than 100 experts rushed out. They looked as if they had just survived a disaster. Their legs were trembling and they couldn't even stand up. The Feng Yun three heavens looked at each other and left the tomb of the god of sin. Wuyo and heaven and earth high god were covered in blood, especially heaven and earth high god. Even his heart was dug out and eaten by a mutated divine beast. It was extremely tragic. If it wasn't for his tenacious will, he would have died long ago. Roar! Greedy wolf exalted roared at the sky. Now, he only had his left arm left. His right arm was torn off and eaten by a divine beast. He was extremely angry. Who is that damned young bastard? I'm going to kill him! Greedy wolf exalted roared. His hatred for Yi Qinghan didn't decrease. Instead, it increased. His name is Yi Qinghan. He is a mansion master of the mythological dimension. If Brother Greedy Wolf is interested, we are willing to work together to uproot the Kuang sect. Wuyo roared in a low voice. Wait for me for 3 years. I will heal my injured body first. I will let him know the consequences of offending me. Greedy Wolf exalted was furious. His eyes were filled with ferocity. He couldn't wait to crush Yi Qinghan into pieces. There were more than 80 superior god priests left. More than 30 of them were terrifying young elite. They were not inferior to the superior god priests. At this moment, they had an inexplicable hatred for Yi Qinghan. Perhaps this was the reason why Yi Qinghan was the first to rush out of the tomb of the god of sin. Most of them had obtained a lot of treasures. At this moment, they weren't in a hurry to take revenge on Yi Qinghan. Instead, they returned to their own mansions and started to heal their injured bodies. Once they came out of seclusion, they would definitely gather together to take revenge on Yi Qinghan. Chapter 708. 3 months later, an envoy from the 3 clear divine nation arrived and handed over 1/3 of the territory near Kuang Manor to them. Mu Feilong was dumbfounded. He couldn't accept this at all. He led his army to resist Kuang Manor's army. Lu Zhantian personally led the Iron Dragon army to the city gate. Most of the Mu clan's troops were defeated without a fight. The remaining forces did not dare to resist and surrendered. Mu Feilong was unwilling to give up. In the end, everyone betrayed him. Even the Mu clan's manor lord stood up and spoke for him. In the end, he was detained by Lu Zhantian. If Mu Xiaoqi did not plead for mercy, he would have been killed by Lu Zhantian. The Iron Dragon army glared at Mu Feilong. They wanted to kill him and avenge the 300,000 undead. In order to stabilize the army's morale, Lu Zhantian did not even give Mu Xiaoqi face. He directly destroyed Mu Feilong's godhead and turned him into a mortal. The Mu clan's manor lord did not say anything. A piece of trash who offended Kuang Manor was not worth his pleading. The 12 mansions declared their loyalty to Kuang Manor at the same time. The army was broken up and rebuilt. The Manor Lord's forces were removed. They could only cooperate with Quang Manor to govern the territory without any special privileges. If they did well, they would be rewarded. If they dared to betray Quang Manor, they would be ruthlessly suppressed by Quang Manor. The Manor Lords did not dare to complain. Their army had been yearning to join Quang Manor for a long time. The people everywhere even decorated the place with lanterns and streamers to show their welcome. Only then did they know how popular Quang Manor was. At this moment there was a saying going around everywhere: "Follow Quang Manor and you will have wine and meat. You will no longer have to worry about being oppressed by the strong and becoming a servant of a powerful force. Become a citizen of Quang Manor and make a fortune first, then cultivate later." There were many ways to earn divine crystals. Quang Manor quickly established a series of policies to develop the economy of the various mansions. Quang Manor even allocated funds to help the various mansions set up various projects and activities to attract guests. After reorganizing the territories of the major mansions, the outer sect of the Crazy Sect set up subsects under the 12 major mansions and began to recruit disciples. The promotion of disciples was based on a point system, which was similar to the system of the ancient massacre god. The disciples were divided into 9 ranks. Promotion to rank 1 required a certain number of points. Promotion to rank 2 required 10 times the amount of points. After becoming a rank 2 disciple, the rewards and monthly allowance would be much greater. Divine gems and secret skills were enough to make a rank 1 disciple drool with envy. After becoming a rank 9 disciple, one could be promoted to an inner sect disciple. That was a place that everyone yearned for. Once one became an inner sect disciple, one could directly communicate with Yi Qinghan face to face. There was no need to worry about resources. If one encountered a bottleneck in one's cultivation, there would naturally be a higher god priest who would preach and share his experiences. Therefore, at this moment, the prestige of the 3 major seminaries had suffered a blow. The number 1 cultivation Holy Land was no longer the 3 seminaries, but the outer sect of the insane sect. Many people racked their brains to get in. Unfortunately, the threshold of the outer sect was even harsher than the seminaries. The first batch of outer sect disciples laughed happily. Their cultivation and talent were far inferior to those who came for the assessment, but they were the first batch of people who followed Yi Qinghan. That was their advantage. The Crazy Sect needed people who could be trusted. Even if their cultivation was not high, they could lead a region because there were people in the inner sect who could intimidate the entire plane. The subsects of the outer sect were set up at the same time. The elders of the outer sect became the masters of the subsects and began to recruit disciples. A large number of elites came, and even the sons of great families came, hoping to join the outer sect. Joining the Crazy Sect was not as simple as one might think. There were 3 tests. The first test was illusion, which was set up by Emperor Yi himself. It tested the cultivators' sincerity to join the Crazy Sect and how much they could contribute to the sect. The second test was perseverance, which was how firm one's heart was. The third test was talent. If one could pass the third test, one might be able to enter the outer sect. If one could not pass the first and second tests, one was not qualified to join the outer sect at all. Therefore, joining the Crazy Sect was no longer a matter of cultivation and combat power, but of the heart of the path. That was the most important. Many super-elites could not even pass the first test. They cursed the Crazy Sect and were very disdainful of its practices. However, there were some disciples of poor families who were not even at the imperial level who passed the test. This attracted more and more low-level geniuses to come and take the test. More and more people understood that in the Crazy Sect's assessment, talent came second and loyalty came first. Many people adjusted their mentality and took the test again. Sure enough, they got what they wanted. Emperor Yi was now a superior god, and no one could disguise themselves and escape her illusion. Therefore, those who joined the outer sect were all loyal people. Just as the outer sect was in full swing to expand, Yi Qinghan, who had been cultivating in a different space for 100 years, came out with great strength. His cultivation was stuck at the level of a perfected medium god. He was only half a step away from the level of a superior god. Unfortunately, that layer of paper was harder to break than the barrier of the universe. It would take time to break through. Yi Qinghan shook his body. His whole body was as hard as a medium god weapon. It was condensed again and almost evolved into a superior god weapon. If he faced a superior god priest again, even if the soul-severing gauntlet did not show its power, he might not lose. Crack! He clenched his iron fist and a powerful aura rose. When he arrived at the southern mountain pass and heard Roger's report, he could not help but nod. He knew that it was time for the crazy sect to establish a divine kingdom. Sure enough, in the afternoon, a piece of news exploded in the mythical realm. The crazy sect would establish the fourth divine kingdom in 2 months, the Crazy Dragon Empire. The Crazy Dragon Empire was the smallest, but it was also the most powerful force. The superior god priest, Shao Xingyang, and his friend had returned. Together with Emperor Yi, the Frenzied Blade, and the Cannon King, there were 4 superior god priests. Even if the Lord of Abyss did not show up, no force could face the crazy sect alone. In addition, Yi Qinghan's cultivation, the soul-severing gauntlet, and the mythical beast Pai Xiu were more than enough to deal with a superior god priest. Even a superior god priest could not defeat the Pai Xiu. After the news of the establishment of a divine kingdom was released, the 3 colleges of divinity were already dissatisfied with the crazy sect. Now they were even more dissatisfied with the crazy sect. God's organization was even more dissatisfied. The crazy sect had become the 4th divine kingdom right under their noses. More importantly, the 3 divine kingdoms did not oppose the crazy sect's establishment. Damn it! When I wanted to establish a divine kingdom, you disagreed as if your parents had died. Now, a bastard is establishing a divine kingdom, and you are licking your faces to curry favor with him. I will make you regret it one day. God Wu Yu roared angrily. God Qianquan sneered and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't be so angry. I want to see how the crazy sect will establish the Crazy Dragon Empire. I have already informed Greedy Wolf Exalted. Maybe there will be a good show at the founding ceremony." When Wuyo heard Heaven and Earth High God's words, he sneered as if he was watching a good show. Chapter 709. 2 months later, the flowers bloomed in the warm spring. Rows of willow trees swayed in the wind, and the spiritual energy was extremely dense. There were no clouds for thousands of miles, and the sky was clear. Birds flew in the sky, and the streams were so clear that the bottom could be seen. Crazed Manor had become the most beautiful Holy Land. The most popular place for handsome men and beautiful women was Crazed Manor. There were no foppish young masters here, and there was no bullying. There was only peace. Wide stone roads extended in all directions, and a long river surrounded the entire Crazed Manor, becoming its moat. There were huge ships on the river, and the young masters and princesses gave up flying to set up banquets on the ships. The founding ceremony of Crazed Manor was about to begin, and many young masters came to watch. The divine lords of the 3 divine kingdoms would personally come to Crazed Manor to congratulate the sect. Many people came because of the 3 divine lords. These 3 were very young, but they were divine lords, so they must be superior gods. They were existences who led the era back then, and were idols in many people's hearts, just like Yi Qinghan. The old monsters of the 3 divine kingdoms would come, including the ancestors of Long Yuan and Martial Destruction Divine Kingdom. After all, they owed Yi Qinghan their lives. As for the 3 old men of Shangqing and Yuqing, even though Yi Qinghan had taken 1/3 of their territories, they still had to give face to Yi Qinghan. The old deans of the three divine kingdoms also received invitations. Although they didn't want to come, if they didn't go, it would be tantamount to falling out with Yi Qinghan. How could they not come? All the overlords and the remaining superior gods of the mythical realm had received invitations. Now, Yi Qinghan was no longer the young man who relied on nine nether. Instead, he was someone who could defeat the superior gods with his fists alone. In addition to Xiao Xingyang, the Canon King, Reverend Xianqing, and Emperor Yi, there were 4 superior gods of the insane faction. In addition to the 7 superior gods that Yi Qinghan had saved, there were more than a dozen superior gods of the insane faction. Who would dare to stand shoulder to shoulder with the insane faction? Before the various overlords and divine nations experts arrived at the crazed manor, the 7 overgods of the voracious wolf plane each invited a superior god priest to the mythical plane. Although superior gods could not enter other planes during peacetime, it was different if they were invited by a divine nation. The aura of 14 higher god priests was enough to scare someone to death. The evil dominator represented the evil faction. At this moment, there were almost 20 superior gods of the insane faction, and each of them was strong. Yi Qinghan personally welcomed them, giving them enough face. Outside the southern mountain pass, Yi Qinghan, dressed in green, greeted the experts of the voracious wolf plane, along with the Canon King and Xiao Xingyang. Manor Lord Yi, congratulations on establishing the insane faction. Ha ha ha, we should call you Divine Lord Yi now. The 2 superior gods, Qing Luo and Wu Jingtian, laughed. Everyone congratulated him, and it was very lively. Thank you all for coming. It is the insane faction's honor. Yi Qinghan's aura was as clear as jade, neither servile nor overbearing. The aura of a heroic king radiated from him like a god. He casually gestured and said, "Everyone, please come in. Tomorrow is the grand ceremony." The Southern Mountain Pass Army was excited, and their military formation was uniform. Even their gait was particularly imposing. Now that the insane faction was here, they were even more confident and proud. Dong dong dong. Roger personally led 10,000 men captains to beat the sky-shaking drum. The sound of the drum shook the heavens and echoed across the sky, welcoming the arrival of the experts. Any divine nation that had such a high morale was considered a trump card. The Southern Mountain Pass army of 300,000 showed the world how righteous the insane faction's army was. The sound of the drum shook the blood of the superior gods. Even the superior gods felt their blood was boiling as they walked. Whoosh! The insane faction's flag was raised, and a dragon soared into the sky. The Southern Mountain Pass army's flag was a wolf, a lone and proud wolf that represented the will of the Southern Mountain Pass Army. It fought like a wolf, fierce and merciless. The chiefs of the 3 divine nations and the other factions arrived from behind. They could not help but tremble when they saw the Southern Mountain Pass Army's aura. Their armies were nothing compared to the Southern Mountain Pass Army. Dong 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 dong. The sound of the drum was deafening. The armies of the Northgard Fortress, the Dongxia Fortress, and the Gan Mountain Pass started beating their drums, officially welcoming the heroes of the world. The insane faction's aura soared into the sky. The Steel Dragon Army, the Ancient Godly Massacre Army, Lu Lan's Blade, the Dragon Riders, and the Southern Mountain Pass Army all unleashed their auras. The faces of the experts who came to watch the ceremony paled. They frowned, feeling like the insane faction was trying to intimidate them. If the 5 armies worked together, none of the divine nations would stand a chance against them. At that moment a figure suddenly rushed out of the wild sect. His spear pierced through space and time. The aura of the upper plane was in harmony with heaven and earth. His fighting will was almost heaven-defying. That fighting will could be felt clearly from thousands of miles away. It made people's breath stagnate. Zhang Chuanxiu caught up with the others. He was the first to reach the superior god realm with the help of a superior god's divine spear. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the 4 heaven-destroying swords tore through the air. 4 different sword intents were superior to the sword Tao. They worked together to suppress the great Tao of a mythical realm. The heavens and earth rumbled, and all laws submitted to them. Above the insane faction, Xian Yanxue, Gu Qingyu, Yi Feng, and Xia Qiue unleashed their strength at the same time. The 4 of them had reached the superior god realm almost at the same time. It had only taken them 5 months in the outside world, but it had taken them 1,500 years in the alternate space. Before the crowd could react, the space above the insane faction suddenly twisted, as if someone had torn it apart. A terrifying aura suppressed the crowd. Even the superior god realm priests were shocked. The heaven-destroying art. Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. He did not expect Xia Ziluo to reach the superior god realm as soon as she reappeared. Whoosh! There was a flash of white light. A peerless beauty traveled across the universe and descended beside Yi Qinghan. Her peerless beauty eclipsed the world. Medusa had also broken through. In 1,500 years, 8 superior god realm priests had appeared in the insane faction. When Medusa appeared, the divine masters of the various divine kingdoms, the overlords, the deans, and the old deans all took a step back. They looked at Medusa and felt ashamed of their inferiority. She was too perfect, so perfect that they could not look at her directly. Medusa's beauty was soul-stealing, while Emperor Ye's beauty was approachable. They were 2 completely different concepts. Gu Qingyu and the others all descended behind Yi Qinghan. They stood in an orderly manner with their swords in their arms. Yi Qinghan didn't really want to put on a show of strength, but it was too much of a coincidence that they had all made their breakthroughs at the same time. Most likely, the people from the various divine kingdoms and academies were having a mental breakdown. Stimulated by the superior god realm priest's aura, the 4 armies' aura became even stronger. Their roars shook the sky, and the heaven-shaking drum was almost shattered. Even the ground within 1,000 miles began to tremble. Chapter 710. It wasn't just Kuang Manor's territory. The people of the 12 mansions of Sanqing Divine Nation also started to cheer. Seeing this, Sanqing Divine Nation didn't feel good. Were these people ingrates? Or were they not popular? Shangqing shook his head. Although he was unhappy, he knew that he could not blame Yi Qinghan or the people for this. Yi Qinghan gestured for everyone to enter the southern mountain pass. The ancient beasts pulling the carriages were all giant ferocious beasts from the realm of beasts. They had been domesticated and had become a unique sight in the crazy sect. Flying was forbidden in the crazy sect's territory, so the carriages had to be pulled by powerful ferocious beasts. The experts were dumbfounded. These beasts were almost as strong as the manor lord, but they were only used to pull carriages in the crazy manor. Seniors, what do you think of my crazy manor? Yi Qinghan said proudly. He could be proud that he had turned the worst Gongyang manor into the crazy manor. Hee, everyone smiled insincerely, not knowing how to answer Yi Qinghan. The crazy manor's economic model was definitely ahead of the rest. First, they won the hearts of the people. The city guards were even more popular. They were only responsible for protecting the peace of the crazy manor, and would never bully the people. If the crazy manor was not popular, who would be qualified? The group of manor lords rode on hundreds of carriages, and the superior god divided them into 10 carriages. They circled around the crazy manor and arrived at the crazy manor auction house. They first greeted the guests casually, then sent them to the Zhengyang Special Business District and arranged accommodations. Yi Qinghan and the others returned to the crazy manor and began to plan for tomorrow's founding ceremony. However, the people from the Zhengyang Trading Company came uninvited. Yi Qinghan was surprised. The Zhengyang Trading Company was a business empire, and at the same time, they cut ties with the major factions and never participated in worldly conflicts. They were completely different from the Nine-Linked Mountain. The Nine-Linked Mountain disdained to interact with the common people, but the Zhengyang Trading Company did not participate in worldly conflicts to protect themselves. They maintained business relationships with everyone, but they never got too close to anyone. Therefore, he did not invite them this time. The Yu family head of the Zhengyang Trading Company, Yu Zhengyang, arrived at the southern mountain pass under the protection of a superior god and 10 manor lords. Luo Jie sent someone to inform Yi Qinghan, but he personally went to the southern mountain pass to welcome him. Yi Qinghan heard the report. He knew that if the other manors of the Crazy Dragon Empire wanted to develop, they could not do without the Zhengyang Trading Company's support. Therefore, he flew to the sky and rushed towards the southern mountain pass. Yi Qinghan said with a face full of smiles. Yu Zhengyang was about to enter the southern mountain pass with Yu Jie's help. However, Yu Luor snorted, "Grandpa, please go in. Divine Lord Yi doesn't seem to welcome me. He hasn't even looked at me. Now, he only invited you and my brother. Ha ha ha, Luo is still so naughty. It is my fault that I didn't introduce you." Yu Zhengyang's face was full of smiles. The skin on his face was all wrinkled. His wrinkled hand pulled over the unhappy Yu Luo and said to Yi Qinghan, "This child is my favorite little princess. Her name is Luo. I've spoiled her too much. She's always so impudent. I guess she's angry because she was treated badly." Yi Qinghan smiled awkwardly. Until now, he really didn't take a good look at Yu Luo. She was indeed a beauty. However, he wasn't interested. "Greetings, Fairy Luo. I was rude just now. Please don't blame me. Fairy, please come in." Yi Qinghan cupped his fist. He still didn't look at her directly and gestured for everyone to enter the southern mountain pass. Why aren't you looking at me? Am I that ugly? Or are you afraid to look? Afraid that you can't control yourself and lose face? Yu Luo snorted. She was very unhappy. There were so many geniuses in the world. Which one of them didn't call her Luo? They couldn't wait to stick their eyes on her. Yi Qinghan was different. He didn't even look at her. Yi Qinghan raised his brows. A princess was a princess after all. He didn't have the patience to serve her. He looked straight at Yu Luo. His deep eyes were filled with majesty. His aura began to rise. His superior aura was like a god descending. It was so domineering that it suppressed Yu Luo's temper. Women were like this. The more princess-like they were, the more they couldn't be spoiled. The more domineering a man was, the smaller her temper would be. This time, it was Yu Luo who didn't dare to look at Yi Qinghan. She quickly hid behind Yu Zhengyang. Yu Zhengyang smiled faintly and thought to himself, indeed, there is always a conqueror. Chapter 711. After suppressing Yu Luo, Yi Qinghan smiled and gestured for Yu Zhengyang to follow him to the carriage shop. They rented 2 carriages, one for the guards and the other for Yu Zhengyang and Yi Qinghan. The high-ranking god-priest frowned. He didn't seem to trust Yi Qinghan and was even more worried about Yi Qinghan's identity. He was determined not to let Yi Qinghan and Yu Zhengyang be alone. This high-ranking god-priest was an expert trained by Yu Zhengyang. He was also half a son of Yu Zhengyang. He was an orphan that Yu Zhengyang found from a pile of bones. His name was Yu Oren. He was very close to Yu Zhengyang. Other than Yu Zhengyang, he didn't listen to anyone else's orders. Yu Zhengyang also poured his heart and soul into Yu Oren. In order to train him, he spent an unimaginable amount of god crystals. Just the top-grade god crystals alone cost more than 100,000. The high-ranking god crystals were even more numerous. He treated him better than his own son. "Aoran, go back to the other carriage. I have something to discuss with God Lord Yi," Yu Zhengyang said with a serious face. Yu Oren was still unwilling. This was the first time he went against Yu Xingyang's will. He was a bit worried about Yi Qinghan's strength and even more worried about Yi Qinghan. It was very dangerous to let someone like Yu Xingyang, who didn't have much battle power, stay with Yi Qinghan. If someone attacked and Yu Xingyang died, the entire Yu Empire might fall apart. He can't protect you. Yu Oren was a strong man, but at this moment, he said with grievance, "This is Kuang Manor's territory. I believe in God Lord Ye's strength and character. If he didn't have a heart of light, Kuang Manor wouldn't be like this," Yu Xingyang said indifferently. "It's not like you don't know how many people are after your life. If he can't protect you." Yu Oren frowned and looked at Yi Qinghan. He felt that Yi Qinghan looked very young and couldn't withstand a single blow. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said indifferently, "Why don't you try to attack me and see if I can block it?" "That's what you said. Don't blame me if I hurt you," Yu Oren said in a muffled voice. "Don't worry. If you hurt me, no one will pursue the matter." Yi Qinghan clenched his fists as he spoke calmly. Yu Xingyang did not refuse. It just so happened that he wanted to see Yi Qinghan's strength as well. He retreated to the center of the 10 Manor Lord-level powerhouses' protection. He looked at Yu Xingyang calmly and said, "Be careful. Don't go too far." Yu Oren mobilized his divine power, but he did not use the profound mysteries of the laws. He punched at Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan did not move at all. Only his clothes fluttered and his hair flew behind him. He stared straight at the incoming iron fist. He crossed his legs and the veins on his right arm bulged. He pulled back his fist and twisted his waist. His fist rotated slightly and fiercely charged at Yu Oren's fist. Boom! The shock waves rippled out and rushed into the galaxy. The 10 great experts joined forces with Yu Jie and Roger, but they were almost unable to block the shock waves. Ka ka ka, bam bam bam. Yu Oren's bones in his fist were shattered. His body retreated continuously, and the stone floor beneath his feet turned into fine powder. He flew back several hundred meters before he could stop. The clothes on his right arm were blasted apart, revealing his bloody bones. He trembled continuously, and the pain caused his face to twitch malevolently. Yi Qinghan, on the other hand, only took 3 steps back before he stabilized himself. Yu Jie's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The bodyguard's legs went soft and they almost fell to the ground. Yu Luor was completely stunned. Her little mouth was wide open, and her eyes were as big as fists. She now understood why Yi Qinghan could make her grandfather personally come out of seclusion. Why all the high-level gods in the world had to give him some face, and why the Sanqing theocracy had to give him 1/3 of their territory. This was simply a freaking monster. Even Li Feng could not cripple Yu Oren with one punch and push him back several hundred meters. Even if Yu Oren did not use the profound laws, Yi Qinghan did not use them either. It was just pure physical strength. Yu Xingyang was not surprised. Instead, he nodded calmly and said with a smile, "As I expected, God Lord Yi must be a legend. Even God's organization could not establish a theocracy, but you managed to do so in just a few years. It is only natural for you to win against this child." Yi Qinghan did not underestimate Yu Oren's strength. Instead, he thought more highly of him. He relied on the God-breaking gloves and the 5th-tier God-protecting garment to ignore his opponent's strength. Even so, he was pushed back 3 steps. In the entire mythical plane, Yu Oren's physical strength was definitely the strongest apart from himself. He was an existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Cannon King. "Thank you, Brother Yu, for letting me win. If you had used the profound laws, I am afraid I would have lost." Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said. Yu Oren's godly power quickly healed his injured body. He quickly got on the other carriage and stopped competing with Yi Qinghan. If Yi Qinghan wanted to kill Yu Xingyang, it would be as easy as raising his hand. It made no difference whether he was there or not. Yi Qinghan personally helped Yu Xingyang get on the other carriage. Roger was the coachman, but he did not feel wronged at all. Not everyone could drive for Yi Qinghan and Yu Xingyang. In the carriage, Yu Xingyang looked at Yi Qinghan. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. His gaze made Yi Qinghan's hair stand. "Old mister, if you have something to say, you can just say it. If I can agree, I will not frown," Yi Qinghan said straightforwardly. "All right, since God Lord Yi is so straightforward, this old man will not hide it. I came here for 3 matters. The first is the marriage between the Yu clan and the Kuang manor. The second is the migration of our clan. The third is the economic construction of the Kuang Dragon Empire. This third matter is a meeting gift from this old man. As for the first and second matter, I am not at ease leaving it to others." Yu Xingyang's eyes flashed as he looked straight at Yi Qinghan. Marriage? Migration of our clan? Yi Qinghan was shocked. These 2 matters were not trivial. The foundation of such a huge business empire could not be moved. As for the marriage, there were not many people in the Kuang sect who did not cultivate together. He would not want Yu Luo. He already had 2 top-notch beauties at home. He did not even know what to do with Medusa. How could he provoke another woman? "You want to move the headquarters of the Upright Yang Trading Company to the Kuang Manor?" Yi Qinghan was curious. The implications of this matter were too great. The foundation of the Upright Yang Trading Company was within the Tian-Ke Divine Academy's territory, and the amount of money involved was immeasurable. If the Upright Yang Trading Company moved, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy would suffer heavy losses. Therefore, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy had no choice but to protect the Upright Yang Trading Company all these years. Yes, this matter is not trivial. That is why this old man came to find you personally. The Upright Yang Trading Company is now in decline, and little Jie is still a little young. When this old man's time is up, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy will forcefully interfere with the Yu clan's affairs. The Upright Yang Trading Company will also change owners. This old man wants to move the headquarters of the trading company before my time is up. The place that I feel most at ease with is the Kuang Manor. This old man has seen countless people in his life, and when I first saw you, I felt that you were someone I could entrust my care to. I beg Divine Lord Yi to help me. This old man is willing to marry Luo to Divine Lord Yi as your concubine. I will give you my concubine. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. 30% of the profits of the Upright Yang Trading Company was enough to support a divine nation. However, he could not enjoy this fortune. He immediately rejected, saying, "Fairy Yu's body is priceless. How can she be a concubine? Moreover, this little one already has 2 wives and will not marry again. Old mister, please forgive me. However, I can agree to move the headquarters." Yu Xingyang looked straight at Yi Qinghan. He realized that he was indeed not interested in marrying Yu Luo. He could not help but sigh. Whether or not there was a marriage alliance would determine the status of the trading company. Whether or not Yi Qinghan would protect them sincerely, and whether or not the Kuang Manor would stand up for them if the trading company was suppressed by other powers in the future. Chapter 7:12. Yu Xingyang's face was filled with helplessness. His lifespan was getting shorter and shorter. As the pillar of the company, once he fell, the company would lose the support of experts. It would collapse like a building without a foundation. Whether the Yu clan could escape from this disaster was a problem. Yi Qinghan understood Yu Xingyang's heart. The Xingyang Trading Company empire was like the Kuang Manor, or even worse. The only difference was that the spiritual pillar of the company was Yu Xingyang, while the spiritual pillar of the Kuang sect was him. Once the Kuang sect lost him, at least there would still be brotherhood and countless experts. If Yu Xingyang fell, the company would fall too. There are still a few juniors in the inner sect who don't have a wife. Why don't we put Fairy Luo Air in the Kuang sect for a while? Maybe there will be a suitable one? Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. He didn't want a marriage alliance. At least, he wouldn't betray the feelings of the juniors for the sake of the Kuang sect. How could Yu Xingyang be willing to marry the most beloved princess of the Yu clan to an inner sect junior? These juniors were all brought up by me. It wouldn't be wrong to say that I treat them like my own children. Therefore, I don't want to use their happiness as a bargaining chip. It would be best if some of them develop feelings for Fairy Luo Air. If none of them can get used to her temper, I won't force them, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Then, all right, since that's the case, it's settled. The third thing is that the Zhengyang Trading Company will help the Kuang Dragon Empire build a prosperous empire. Consider it my gift to you. Divine Lord Yi, please don't decline. Otherwise, my trip this time will be in vain, Yu Xingyang said solemnly. I don't dare decline an elder's gift. I will accept it. After the ceremony, I will personally bring people to move the headquarters to the Kuang sect's territory. Do you have a place you like? I will separate it for you. Yi Qinghan spread out the map and looked at the entire Kuang Dragon Empire's territory. The Yayang Pass was the territory of the Yayang Manor. It was guarded by the Steel Dragon Army. It had just been separated from the Sanqin Kingdom and was very desolate. It was rich in resources, but it hadn't been developed yet. The Yayang Pass and I are fated. Moreover, the strongest Steel Dragon Army is stationed here. I know Lu Zhantian. Under your guidance, he will soon enter the Superior God Shrine. And he is upright. I believe that he can protect the Yayang Manor. How? Yu Xingyang pointed to the pass in the northwest of the Kuang Dragon Empire's border. The Yayang Manor of Yayang Manor. And Yayang Manor was with the Dragon Army was Dragon Army and Dragon Army was Dragon. Dragon Army and Dragon Army was Dragon Army was you. And Manor and Yayang Country's Army and Dragon Northern. The Manor Northern Dragon Guards Xia Dragon Army was the Dragon was. Yu Xingyang's eyes were like torches. He chose the Yayang Manor at first glance. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. Although it wasn't the safest place, it wasn't the best place either. The reason why Yu Xingyang chose that place was probably because he wanted to develop the violent Dragon Empire's most barren land. Yi Qinghan didn't want Yu Xingyang to suffer any losses, so he said, the Yu Yang residence is naturally not a problem. To the west of the Yu Yang residence is the Western Pass residence. I will station 30,000 hunters there. The outer sect's headquarters is 8,000 li to the east of the Yu Yang residence, so we can reinforce the Yu Yang residence at any time. Therefore, you don't have to worry about safety. This territory will be inherited by the Yu clan. Thank you, Divine Lord Yi. With your words, this old man can rest assured. Yu Xingyang's eyes were smiling. With the Kuang Manor's momentum, the Kuang Dragon Empire could at least stand in the Legend Realm for 1,000,000 years. Then, the Upright Sun Trading Company would continue to develop and cultivate their own superior god shrine. The two discussed along the way and studied the infrastructure of the other 12 prefectures in the Kuang Dragon Empire. When they arrived at the Kuang Manor auction house, Yi Qinghan arranged a VIP room for the Yu clan. After a while, it was almost dawn. The army was already preparing for the ceremony tomorrow. The defense measures were the best. That night, the whole world celebrated. All the territories in the Kuang Dragon Empire were sleepless and brightly lit. In the Ravenous Wolf realm, High God Wu Yu personally came to find Ravenous Wolf exalted. That bastard has already built his divine nation? Are the other divine nations all dead? Why did they allow a medium god shrine to build his own country? Ravenous Wolf Exalted was almost fully recovered. High God Wu Yu's eyes were full of murderous intent. He said helplessly, "The old bastards of the three divine nations all owe Yi Qinghan a favor. In addition, the Lord of Nine Remoteness is his backer. Although the three divine colleges and other overlords are dissatisfied, no one took the lead. They can only watch him build his own country. They are angry, but they don't dare to say anything. I wonder if Ravenous Wolf Exalted has forgotten what happened in the tomb of the God of Sin?" Ravenous Wolf Exalted smiled. He knew Wu Yu was using him as a tool, but his resentment toward Yi Qinghan made him overlook it. "That bastard rejected me again and again in the tomb of the God of Sin. He ruined my 1,000 years of cultivation. How can I forgive him?" Greedy Wolf Exalted God growled coldly and clenched his iron fists. With a cold glint flashing in his eyes, he asked Exalted God Wuyo, "If I can stall that old bastard Yi Qinghan, how many high-level gods in your mythical plane are willing to kill Yi Qinghan?" High God Wu Yu's eyes brightened. Ravenous Wolf Exalted was obviously much stronger than the average high god. He was the only one who could fight against the Lord of Nine Remoteness. If he was willing to help, the three divine colleges and the three clear divine nations would definitely not give up on killing Yi Qinghan. I can guarantee that the three divine colleges and the 10 overlords will help. However, this is not enough. The insane sect has 8 high gods. Although they have just broken through, their cultivation is not weak. Therefore, we need the help of the experts in the Ravenous Wolf dimension. You take the godhoods, and my god's organization will occupy the mythological plane. What do you think?" High God Wu Yu's eyes shone brightly. It seemed like he had been planning to occupy the mythological plane for a long time. Ravenous Wolf Exalted was silent for a moment. Then, he smiled evilly and said to himself, "Not only do I want to get the godhoods, I also want to occupy the entire mythological plane. Since you want to use me, I will use you. When the time comes, none of you will live. Alright. Tomorrow, I will bring 13 high god shrines to the mythological plane. I want to see how he is going to establish the mythological plane." Ravenous Wolf Exalted sneered. After High God Wu Yu confirmed that Ravenous Wolf Exalted would interfere with the establishment of the Mad Dragon Empire, he retreated and went to the planar battlefield. He contacted the experts of the various armies, and a war for the mythological plane began quietly. However, at this moment, the insane sect knew nothing about it. Moreover, with so many high god shrines gathered in the insane sect's territory, they were confident that no one could threaten their position. Chapter 713. The sky gradually brightened up, and the water vapor formed dew droplets that fell from the willow leaves. The city guards began their patrol, and the streets were filled with experts from all over the place. In the crazed manner, even the strongest experts had to walk like an ordinary person. No one dared to fly around. There were a few hedonistic disciples who took advantage of their family background and ran amok in the crazed manner. They flew in the sky and burrowed into the ground, trying to steal people's attention. However, they were caught and had their legs chopped off, the kind that could never be repaired. Regardless of whether it was a high-level god priest or a middle-level chief, they had to follow the will of the crazed manor. The natives were excited and proud. Outside the crazed manor, 3,000 tables were set up for the banquet, enough for 30,000 people to sit around. The crazed sect had only invited 8,000 experts, which was not a small number. Those who were invited were all overlords, manor lords, and divine masters of divine nations. Yi Qinghan stood on a huge carriage that was out in the open like a dragon throne. Yi Chentian, Yi Shushan, and his sister were all here. The Golden Boy and Jade Girl, as well as the inner sect disciples, were all brought here by Di Longtian. The 8,000 experts sat together with their friends, and the inner sect experts sat at the table closest to Yi Qinghan. The rest of the tables near Yi Qinghan were the high-level god priests, the overlords, the high-level god priests, and the top elders of the divine academies. One of the tables was supported by 4 little sky dragons, but it was carved out of wood and looked very lifelike. On top of it there were many supreme grade divine fruits and the best grade drunken god brew. The 3 divine masters, the top old monsters, and the 3 deans of the divine academies sat here. Yu Xingyang sat not far away from Yi Qinghan. Yu Oren, Yu Jie, and Yu Luor stood behind him. It was obvious that they were the ones who were given special treatment. However, since Yu Xingyang was able to sit at the front and follow Yi Qinghan closely, no one dared to say anything. Although many people in the entire mythical dimension wanted to kill this legendary and wise almighty, they had no choice but to respect him. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. The Crazed Manor has officially established its nation. Its name is Crazed Dragon, and its capital is the Crazed Manor. I, Yi Qinghan, will be the first lord of the Crazed Manor. In 4 years, when the foundation of the nation has stabilized, there will be someone suitable to lead the nation from the inner sect. Yi Qinghan stood in front of the table and stared at the crowd. His voice was deep and mighty as he continued, I have invited all the heroes and overlords to this banquet because I want to say that the Crazed Manor has no intention of expanding. We only want to develop peacefully. We don't cause trouble, but we are not afraid of trouble. We welcome those who are willing to cooperate with us. If you want to be our enemy, the Crazed Manor has 3 million aces and dozens of inner sect brothers and sisters. We can advance or retreat as we wish. Yi Qinghan's domineering aura poured out like a human emperor. His eyes were like torches, and no one dared to look directly at him. Only the 3 divine masters stared at Yi Qinghan. The Crazed Dragon Empire had just been established, and yet he was already so domineering. This made them unhappy, but there was nothing they could do about it. Martial Destruction and the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom were fine. After all, Long Yuan and Martial Destruction's patriarchs were on good terms with Yi Qinghan, so they felt that these words were not directed at them. However, the 3 divine colleges and the 3 pure divine kingdoms people did not feel the same way. They only felt that Yi Qinghan was trying to intimidate them. Congratulations to Divine Lord Yi for establishing the country. The Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom will support the Crazed Manor's development. We are willing to become allies and advance and retreat together. Long Yuan was the first to stand up. He wanted to make up for his mistake in the Divine Tomb, so he did not hesitate to announce the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's position. With Long Yuan on Yi Qinghan's side, the Holy Dragon Divine Lord naturally could not go against the Patriarch's will. Martial Destruction's Patriarch also announced his position. With the 2 divine kingdoms supporting the Crazed Manor, the Crazed Manor's power in the mythological plane would not be shaken. The 3 pure divine kingdom did not express their position. Losing a third of their territory was already a humiliation. If they went to curry favor with the Crazed Manor, they would become a laughingstock. Many people were flattering him verbally, but in their hearts, they wanted the Crazed Manor to collapse and be suppressed by a powerful force. Yi Qinghan did not care. Everyone knew that. Today is not only the day that the Crazed Dragon Divine Kingdom is established. There is also a second announcement. The Crazed Manor and the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce are officially connected by marriage. The Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce will move their headquarters to the Yuyang residence in 3 days. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. No. Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. Qing Zhengshan, the principal of the Heavenly Imperial College, rebuked angrily. When it came to the interests of the Heavenly Imperial College, they stood firm and refuted on the spot, not giving any face. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He looked at Qing Zhengshan and said lightly, What do you think is wrong? Marriage? Or moving the Chamber of Commerce? None of them. Everyone knows how much the Heavenly Imperial College has sacrificed for the upright Sun Chamber of Commerce. What are they doing? Burning the bridge after crossing the river? Abandoning the Heavenly Imperial College, just because they found a new backer? Qing Zhengshan was incomparably angry. He looked coldly at Yu Xingyang and said hoarsely, "Yu Xingyang, you've been smart all your life, but stupid this time. Are you really old? I respect you, but have you respected the Heavenly Imperial College?" Yu Xingyang looked calmly at Qing Zhengshan. The two wise elders were dazzling, neither of them backing down. "Zhengshan, you and I have known each other for hundreds of thousands of years. We should all know. Indeed, the Heavenly Imperial College has helped the upright Sun Chamber of Commerce a lot. However, there is a price to pay. It's an equal trade. The upright Sun Chamber of Commerce paid for the bodyguards, but it doesn't mean that I owe you a favor, not to mention being ungrateful and burning the bridge after crossing the river. Now that I'm nearing the end of my life and the Chamber of Commerce is declining, is it wrong for me to find a trustworthy ally for the Yu clan? My Chamber of Commerce is not your property. What I want to do is not up to you. The marriage between the Yu clan and the Crazed Manor is a private matter. Isn't the Heavenly Imperial College's hand too far?" Yu Xingyang said coldly. "Are you saying that you can't trust me and the Heavenly Imperial College? Are you saying that I'm unreliable in front of everyone?" Qing Zhengshan asked angrily. "Only you know whether I'm reliable or not. Also, the teachers and students of the Heavenly Imperial College want to swallow the upright Sun Chamber of Commerce's asset. They want to make a move when I'm still alive. If I die one day, will there be anyone who can intimidate them?" Yu Xingyang retorted without giving him any face. He was determined to cooperate with the Crazed Manor. "I'll give you an explanation for this matter. However, your Chamber of Commerce cannot move. The agreement from back then is a contract," Qing Zhengshan said domineeringly. Everyone was silent as they watched the two factions fight. The upright Sun Chamber of Commerce could be said to be able to cover the sky with one hand. However, it wasn't in terms of battle. The lifeline of life and death was in the hands of the Heavenly Imperial College. The Heavenly Imperial College didn't dare to make a move because they were afraid of damaging their reputation. They were also afraid that Yu Xingyang wasn't dead and could turn the situation around. Yi Qinghan sneered and said indifferently, "The marriage is an internal matter between the two factions. It's not up to an outsider like you to decide. I'm announcing it today to inform everyone, not to ask for your opinion. I hope you can maintain your identity. A guest is a guest." Chapter 7:14. Yi Qinghan was strong, but Qing Zhengshan refused to back down. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. A gentle breeze blew through their hair. Everyone looked up to see the most powerful Tian-Ke Divine College and Kuang Manor in a standoff. The cultivators from Tian-Ke Divine College all came to Qing Zhengshan's aid, hoping to force Yi Qinghan to back down. "Zhengshan, don't force me to move the entire upright Sun Chamber of Commerce out of Tian-Ke Divine College's territory. I want to move the business, that's my own idea. Otherwise, why would I participate in the Kuang Long Empire's founding ceremony? Therefore, some people don't need to create an atmosphere to make it seem like Kuang Fu is bullying others. Everyone can see the attitude of Kuang Fu's people and the atmosphere in their territory. I like this kind of place where everyone is equal. I dare say that the outer sect disciples of Kuang Fu would never bully the commoners. Do you dare to say that your own people can do that?" Yu Xingyang asked coldly. Qing Zhengshan was silent. The benefits of upright Sun Chamber of Commerce were too great. Without it, Tian-Ke Divine College would collapse. Tian-Ke Divine College had long regarded upright Sun Chamber of Commerce as their own property. How could they allow others to covet it? "Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce is very sure that we will move our headquarters to Yuyang Mansion. We will not change because of anyone's will. As long as I am alive, upright Sun Chamber of Commerce will still be mine. We will not become meat in the mouths of others. Yu Xingyang was incomparably majestic. Although he was not strong, he made people feel the pressure that surpassed that of a superior god. Qing Zhengshan snorted coldly and asked indifferently, Yu Xingyang, you and I have known each other for hundreds of thousands of years. Are you prepared to fight to the death with me? Don't you care about the lives of your people? Half of Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce is from Divine College. As long as I give the order, half of Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce's assets will change owners. None of your people or people will live. Are you threatening me? Since I dared to come here today and announce this matter, I am fully prepared. My Yu clan can bear the loss of a few people. Yu Xingyang replied sternly. Then what about your Yu clan's headquarters? Don't you want them too? They are all in my Tianke territory. Qing Zhengshan had shed all pretense of cordiality, and was about to make a move against the Yu clan. How dare you? Yu Xingyang was enraged. He stood up hurriedly and almost lost his balance. The other people from the other god colleges and god nations all frowned. They felt that Tianke College was too shameless to threaten Yu Xingyang in front of so many people. In any case, it was a proper college. How could they do things like an evil sect? The various overlords were no longer willing to take sides as they fell silent. At this moment, if both sides were to engage in a life-and-death battle, whoever participated in the battle would be annihilated. Yi Qinghan sneered. Seeing that Qing Zhengshan had become angry out of humiliation and had spoken such words without thinking, he no longer held back and said sternly, Qing Zhengshan, since you've said so, don't blame me for not giving you face. Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce now owns 30% of my Crazed Manor's profit. If you touch Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce, you'll be stealing my Crazed Manor's wealth and declaring war on my Crazed Manor. My Crazed Manor has a marriage alliance with the Yu clan, so if you kill the Yu clan's people, you're killing my Crazed Manor's relative. If you can resist my million cavalry and intersect experts, then attack. If you can't, then I'll erase your Tianke Divine Academy from the mythical realm. Hua! The intersect experts all stood up and released their auras. The auras of the 8 superior gods and Yi Qinghan's aura pushed Qing Zhengshan back a few steps. Boom! Xiao Xingyang, Canon King, and the others also stood up. There were a total of 17 superior gods. Including the intersect experts, there were 25 superior gods, which was more than the number of superior gods in the entire mythical realm. At this moment, they were staring coldly at Qing Zhengshan. Qing Zhengshan's face was pale. The various overlords were so scared that they could not raise their heads. Just the attitude of these superior gods was enough to wipe out the mythical realm's 3 god nations and 3 god colleges. Moreover, 2 of the god nations' attitudes were biased towards Crazy Manor. There was no way they could fight. Under normal circumstances, the superior gods would not participate in the battle, nor would they take sides. However, the 14 superior gods from the Greedy Wolf dimension did not hesitate to take sides. This made the powerhouses from the mythical dimension break out in cold sweat. In addition, Xiao Xingyang and Xian Qingzun were the slaves of the insane sect. The mythical realm was the weakest among the middle realms. There were very few superior gods, and their hearts were not united. They could not achieve anything. Qing Zhengshan's face turned ugly. His fingertips trembled as he looked at the other superior gods. If they did not support Tianke College would not be able to fight against Crazy Manor. However, the 2 god nations did not say anything. The other 2 colleges did not say anything. The 4 god nations' superior gods also did not say anything. Qing Zhengshan was furious. The Shangqing High God and the other experts muttered in their hearts, Crazy Manor has 8 superior gods. In addition to Yi Qinghan's strength, Xiao Xingyang, the Canon King, and Xian Qingzun, there are 12 of them. The 7 superior gods that Yi Qinghan saved and brought with him are now firmly on Crazy Manor's side. There are also Yu Oren and the Evil Lord. That's 28 superior gods. The entire mythical realm had to unite to fight against Crazy Manor. But if they are not united, who dares to be the leader? Yi Qinghan's attitude was clear. He did not care about being the enemy of the world. As long as the world dared to be the enemy of Crazy Manor, he would fight. You talk big. No wonder you dare to kill the people of the 9th mountain. A cold voice sounded from the sky. A palm tore through the void. It ignored space and time and smashed towards Crazy Manor. The huge palm covered the sky and covered the sun. The sky above Crazy Manor was dark. Many people were shocked to death. The Cannon King raised his sword and slashed at the sky. A ray of sword light shot into the sky and tore through the darkness. The huge palm dissipated and the sky turned blue again. The people of the 9th mountain were here. They knew that Yi Qinghan and the others had killed 9 warlords and the others. A figure was followed by 7 or 8 warriors, all of whom were high-level gods. They tore through space and time and arrived above the Crazed Manor. Everyone looked up and saw that it was the mountain master of the 9 linked mountains. His hair was white, but he was full of vigor. His temples were bulging, and he was full of divine energy and life essence. He was almost at the level of the 9 Serenities Lord, or even comparable to the latter. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He did not expect the 9th mountain to find out that he had killed 9 warlords in the tomb of the god. What? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it? You and Li Feng worked together to kill 8 or 9 deacon elders of the 9th mountain. Do you still need me to find you a witness? The mountain lord of the 9th mountain asked coldly. Everyone was shocked. The 9th mountain had always been a high and mighty existence. They had never participated in the affairs of the world. It was rumored that they had existed since the ancient times. Most of the people there had the bloodline of the master gods. Their cultivation was ridiculously strong. The number of superior gods in the 9th mountain was probably more than the number of superior gods in the entire mythological plane. Yi Qinghan would have a hard time after offending them. Chapter 7:15. With the arrival of the 9 linked mountains, Qing Jingshan's confidence was greatly boosted. His face darkened as he coldly shouted, "Yi Qinghan, you really have some guts. You even dare to kill someone from the 9 linked mountains. No wonder you have no respect for my Tian-Ke Divine Academy." Yi Qinghan was extremely calm, but the Shangqing High Deity was no longer calm. Li Feng was actually involved in killing the people of Mount 9 Link. He couldn't help but feel a little angry. This Li Feng's ability to stir up trouble was truly not small. Last time, he had taken a beating from the 9 Remoteness Master on behalf of the Shangqing High Deity. Was he going to be beaten by the 9 Remoteness Master again this time? However, he didn't expect that if it weren't for Li Feng, Yi Qinghan wouldn't have been able to bring him out of the tomb of the gods. Mountain Lord, I didn't know about Li Feng's matter, and I won't ask about it. From now on, I have no relationship with him. The High God immediately cut ties with him and cupped his fist. It's best that it has nothing to do with you. Those who have nothing to do with it, leave the Crazed Manor immediately. Today's matter is between the 9 linked mountain and the Crazed Manor, the Mountain Lord said coldly. The various overlords didn't dare to stay any longer. They didn't even bother with the most basic of pleasantries. They turned and left the Crazed Manor's territory, ignoring the rules of the Crazed Manor that forbade flying. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked coldly at the world. Some people liked to provide help in times of need, some liked to add flowers to embroidery, and some even liked to add insult to injury. When there was no danger, no one knew who could be trusted. The High God priests who had nothing to do with Yi Qinghan left. Only the experts from the 3 major schools and the divine nations remained. However, the dozen or so High God priests from the Ravenous Wolf Plain were unwavering. They still stood on either side of Yi Qinghan. The people from the inner sect couldn't leave either. Thousands of experts left in an instant. The nine-linked mountain lord looked coldly at the experts from the three divine nations and divine college. He asked indifferently, "What about you? What's the point of staying here?" "To destroy the crazed manor, of course. This Yi Qinghan has gone too far, using his power to bully others. This old man has long disliked him," Qing Zhengshan said without hesitation. Now that someone had taken the lead, Skybreaker and the experts from Desolation God Academy immediately took sides and stared coldly at Yi Qinghan. With the mountain master of the nine linked mountains around, why would they care about the nine underworlds master? The four upper-level god priests of the three clear divine kingdom stood on the side of the nine links mountain master without hesitation. Their gazes were vicious, and they were determined to take back a third of the territory. Long Yuan decided not to miss out on another opportunity. He stood on Yi Qinghan's side without hesitation. The Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's divine master hesitated. However, since Long Yuan had chosen a side, he could not stand on the opposite side. He retreated to the side and watched from the sidelines. Ever since the martial-breaking old ancestor worked with Yi Qinghan, he firmly believed that Yi Qinghan would be able to turn the situation around. The martial-breaking Divine Kingdom's Divine Master had never doubted the martial-breaking old ancestor's decisions, but now he did. The nine-linked mountains was a high and mighty existence. Now, 9 upper-level god priests and a terrifying existence like the Mountain Master had arrived. It would not be beneficial to go against the 9 linked mountains now. The martial-breaking Divine Kingdom will remain neutral, the Divine Master said firmly. The martial-breaking old ancestor glared angrily at the Divine Master and scolded sternly, "Unfilial son, have you grown up? Divine Master, this matter has nothing to do with the martial-breaking Divine Kingdom. There is no need for us to get involved. I have the entire Divine Kingdom behind me. I have to think for my people. Divine Master, please don't blame me," the martial-breaking Divine Master said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, indicating that the martial-breaking old ancestor did not need to be so calculative. He was very calm at the moment. Since the Mountain Master of the 9 linked mountains did not dare to act immediately, it meant that he was still somewhat afraid of the 9 underworlds master. It was good that he had some misgivings. He was just afraid that the 9 underworlds master would go crazy and wipe out the entire territory. "Mountain Chieftain, are you here to reason with me or to use your fists?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyes and asked. "So what if I reason? So what if I use my fists?" The Mountain Master appeared in front of them. His white hair danced in the wind as his majesty filled the sky. It was as if an ancient divine master had descended. He was incomparably powerful. "If I reason with you, then I'll explain why I killed those people. If you want to use your fists, then there's no need for me to explain. Let's go to God-ending mountain and fight to the death. Don't implicate my people. If I lose, then I die. If I win, then let's see if I can kill you all," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. "Ha ha ha, fine. Then I'll reason with you first. Let's see what reason you have to kill the disciples of the 9 linked mountains," the Mountain Master said coldly. "Dare I ask, Mountain Master, if you were searching for treasures in a very dangerous place and a group of unknown and untrustworthy people were following you? You tried to reason with them and ask them to leave, but they were unwilling to leave and continued to follow you. Moreover, they could attack you at any time when you found a treasure. What would you do?" Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Of course I'd kill." The Mountain Master snorted. "That's right. It seems like Mountain Master still approves of my decision," Yi Qinghan replied. When the 9 linked Mountain Master heard this, his face instantly turned cold. He said sternly, "Are the disciples of the 9 linked mountains people of unknown origins? Would they attack you at any time? From what I know, you killed them one by one because you ambushed them. It's not that easy to deceive this old man. I'll give you two choices now. First, kneel down and sincerely admit your mistakes. Second, I'll beat you until you kneel down. Are the people of the 9 linked mountains trustworthy? I'm not wrong. I won't kneel down to you, Yi Qinghan said angrily. Then you're making an enemy of the 9 linked mountains. The 9 linked mountain master said coldly. So what if I'm an enemy? If you dare to make a move in Quang Manor's territory and accidentally injure one of my people, then you can pray that you can kill me on the spot. If you can't, then I'll make your 9 linked mountains restless. Yi Qinghan flicked his sleeves and said to the inner sect disciples, High God priests, follow me to God Extinction Mountain Range. The rest of you stay here. Do you think you can leave alive today? A majestic voice came from afar. It was God's organizations Worryless and Qian Kuan. They had brought 4 high god priests with them, and there were more than 10 half-step high gods. In the blink of an eye, they appeared above Quang Manor. At this time, Quang Manor had nearly 30 high gods, but they had no advantage at all. The Lord of the 9 Links Mountain had brought 8, Worryless and Qian Kuan had brought another 4, plus 4 from the Sanqing Divine Kingdom, 6 from the 3 great academies, and 3 others whom they were on good terms with. That was a total of 27 people. Including the Lord of the 9 Links Mountain himself, these people were all veteran higher god priests. Even if the Lord of the 9 Links Mountain were to come in person, he would not have the upper hand. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not expect the 9 linked mountain master to show up all of a sudden. He had underestimated the people of the world. Yi Qinghan, kneel and accept your death. The people of the inner sect, kill yourselves. I will treat the people of Quang Manor well. I won't kill them, but if you dare to resist, not a single blade of grass will survive in Quang Manor. Worryless said with a cruel grin. You? Yi Qinghan asked disdainfully. Of course I can't do it, but what if the 5 great armies of the planar battlefield and the greedy wolf high god of the greedy wolf plain are here in person? High god Worryless grinned. The high gods of the greedy wolf plain were startled. They did not expect the greedy wolf high god's men to be here. Did Quang Manor still have a chance? Sure enough, in less than 10 breaths, Greedy Wolf High Holiness had brought more than 10 masters, all of whom were high-level godly worshippers. This time, the crazed mansion didn't even have the advantage in numbers. Dong dong dong, the sound of drums in the Northgard fortress suddenly shook the sky and echoed across the clouds. A strong murderous aura lingered in the air. It was clearly the sound of a strong enemy approaching. Woo woo woo. The horns of the Yang fortress were blown at the same time. It was a solemn sight. A strong murderous aura burst out of the fortress. The Steel Dragon army had expanded to 400,000 soldiers. 400,000 soldiers of the Steel Dragon army was enough to stop a strong army in the planar battlefield. Yi Qinghan's expression shifted. He did not expect the Quang Dragon Empire to be in such a serious situation so soon after it was established. They did not even have time to expand. 2 armies had arrived at the Yang fortress. Even though they did not charge forward, their auras were outstanding. The armies of the planar battlefield were clearly not ordinary. The 2 armies were still outside the Northgard fortress. They could break through the Northgard fortress defense at any second. Chapter 7:16. Outside the Northgard fortress, the 2 armies were waiting for God's organization's signal. Once the battle between the superior gods started, the siege would begin immediately. Yi Qinghan chuckled when he saw the army and experts approaching. My arrogant sect is quite proud to have attracted so many experts from the mythical plane and the greedy wolf plane. More than 80% of them are from the superior gods. It seems like the Mountain Master and the Greedy Wolf Exalted Highness are going to take me down with them, regardless of the cost? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Take you down with them? Is the arrogant sect really that capable? You have no advantage in terms of numbers, nor do you have any advantage in terms of strength. How are you going to take us down with you? Superior God Wuyo said with a disdainful grin. Why? Don't you know? My master has never interfered with these matters, but it doesn't mean I won't do anything when I'm being bullied by two superior gods, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Yi Qinghan secretly held the communication golden talisman in his hand as he spoke. He was trying to contact the Nine Serenities Master, but the Nine Serenities Master was busy comprehending the eagle strikes 9 heavens. He had no time to respond to Yi Qinghan. The Nine Serenities Master had concealed himself and was focusing on cultivating his secret art. Yi Qinghan began to feel nervous after receiving no response for a long time. However, he remained calm on the surface. He stood in front of the two superior gods and stared at them. The Nine Serenities Master is your master? It's been a while since I last saw him. His time is almost up. I wonder how long he can last? The greedy wolf Exalted Highness chuckled. He did not treat the Nine Serenities Master seriously. Even if the Nine Serenities Master is here, do you think he can stand a chance against me and the greedy wolf Exalted Highness? In order to not implicate the innocent, I advise you to kneel down and follow me. You'll be at my mercy. Otherwise, I'll raze this place to the ground today. Even if Nine Nether comes personally, he'll only be sending himself to his death. The Mountain Master and the greedy wolf Exalted Highness still cared about the Nine Serenities Master. Otherwise, they would have made their move long ago. They were trying to suppress the arrogant sect and shatter their Tao heart. The arrogant sect would never rise again. They would crush the arrogant sect when the time came. Whoosh! The people of the inner sect surrounded them resolutely and drew their swords. They were not afraid of them when they were still intermediate god. Now that they had been promoted to superior gods, their combat power had increased by leaps and bounds. They felt that even superior gods were not unkillable. Xiao Xingyang, Pao King, and Xian Qing Zun also came over. Their eyes were cold but firm. Xiao Xingyang, Xian Qing supremacy, I won't make things difficult for you or your clansmen, considering that you're both righteous and hardworking. Now, piss off. Greedy Wolf Exalted said coldly. The Xiao clan no longer has anything to do with me. Today's matter is between me and the Kuang sect. Please do not implicate others, Xiao Xingyang said in a low voice. This old man is all alone. If it wasn't for Divine Lord Yi, I would have died in the tomb of the gods. Returning it to him today can be considered as one thing off my mind, Xian Qing Zun said indifferently. While they were communicating, Yi Qinghan gave up on contacting the Lord of Nine Serenities. Instead, he contacted the person with other pupils. Her strength was unfathomable. Together with the Space Divine Beast, the Thunder Cat, she only needed to restrain either the Lord of Nine-Linked Mountain or Greedy Wolf Exalted. He would join forces with Emperor Yi to resist the other. It was hard to tell who would win this battle. Don't forget, Yi Qinghan also had a Space Divine Beast by his side. It was the son of the giant dragon, Pai Xiu. Thousands of miles away, in the Valley of God Extinction Mountain, the person with other pupils was actually cultivating diligently. Suddenly, the message charm beside her shone brightly. She frowned. Only 2 people knew about her message charm. One was her master, and the other was Yi Qinghan. Kuang sect, I hope you can help us this time. I will repay you with my life. It was only a few words, but they were as heavy as Mount Tai. The person with other pupils narrowed her eyes. With a wave of her hand, the Thunder Cat appeared in her arms. With a tap of her foot, she shot toward Kuang sect. The person with other pupils did not hesitate to help Yi Qinghan. There were no emotional factors, only feelings. She felt that Yi Qinghan was her lucky star. Ever since she met Yi Qinghan, she had obtained the Thunder Cat, a superior deity weapon, and even a defensive superior deity weapon. Sometimes fortune was fleeting. The person with other pupils wanted to seize it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the man with the strange pupils appeared above Kuang Fu. He arrived in front of Kuang Fu with the lightning cat in his arms. He didn't even say a word before standing on Yi Qinghan's side. Kuang Fu was at a disadvantage. The moment Yi Qinghan saw the person with other pupils appear, he waved his hand and threw out hundreds of divine pills. Heaven reversal pills, strength recovery pills, all kinds of divine pills and elixirs obtained from the tomb of the gods, 3 for each person. These 3 divine pills were equivalent to each person having an extra life. It was equivalent to more than doubling the number of superior gods in Kuang's sect. The divine bird also generously took out its own bottle of divine medicine and shouted, "Brothers, let's kill these bastards. This divine pill will guarantee that you won't die." Xiao xiao xiao, another 2 divine pills appeared in each person's hand. Together with these 2 divine pills, who would be afraid of death? During a battle, if one had 3 or 4 lives, it would be easy for one person to kill 2 or 3 experts of the same level. Moreover, the inner sect members were all people who fought without regard for their lives. Kuang's sect's morale began to rise. Yi Qinghan coldly looked at the heroes and said sternly, "I still say the same thing. If you want to fight, you better come with me outside God's End Mountain. Do not implicate your people. Otherwise, I will not spare a single one of them." Arrogant. Do you think you can fight us just because you have 2 space divine beasts and the person with other pupils? This is not the tomb of the gods. Our divine energy will not be suppressed. Since you refuse to give up, I will let you watch your brothers and sisters die one by one in front of you. Greed Wolf exalted coldly said, "Let's go." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Greed Wolf and 9-linked Mountain Lord led more than 40 superior god priests towards God's End Mountain range. Kuang's sect only had 30 superior god priests. They did not have the battle strength of Greed Wolf and 9 Nether. They did not seem to have any advantage. However, Yi Qinghan revealed a sinister smile. He clenched his fist and said inwardly, "Today, don't blame me for being merciless. I will make God's End Mountain a true land of the gods. Little Tian, stay here and guard Kuang's sect. I am worried that someone will attack this place. I will be at ease if you stay here." Yi Qinghan looked at Di Longtian and the other inner sect disciples who had yet to break through and said in a deep voice. Di Longtian and the others hugged their swords. They were very angry, but they were not superior god priests. They could not fight with their lives. "Let's go. We will definitely win the Battle of God's End Mountain. I have a backup plan. Don't worry." Yi Qinghan reassured everyone and took the lead to charge towards God's End Mountain. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The clear sky suddenly turned dark as if a storm was coming. The citizens of Kuang Dragon Empire prayed sincerely, hoping that Kuang's sect could survive this crisis. A large amount of faith power surged into Yi Qinghan's spiritual sea, surging and roaring. Chapter 7:17. The sky was filled with dark clouds. The mountain, the water, and the sky were all filled with a murderous aura. "There's a valley in front of the God Extinction Mountain. Don't hold back there. Put the elixir in your mouth and beat them into the God Extinction Mountain at all costs. The bigger the commotion, the better. This time, I want to unify the entire mythical plane," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Everyone in the mythical plane knew that the God Extinction Mountain was the real God Extinction Mountain. Although the superior god didn't go there, the mansion master would definitely die if he went in. Until now, the only person who came out alive was Yi Qinghan. Who knew that the second sorcerer god was hiding there? The second sorcerer god, the son of the chaos giant god, represented a supreme inheritance. He was more terrifying than the master god. No one knew how long he had lived. His physical body had lost its vitality, but he was still lingering in the world with a special method. No one knew how powerful he was. Yi Qinghan couldn't rely on the 9 Serenities' master. He could only pray that the sorcerer god would take action. Even if the second sorcerer god's guardian took action, it would be able to kill Greed or the 9 Serenities' mountain master. Greed and the 9 Serenities' mountain master didn't know that the place they were heading to was more terrifying than the 9 Serenities. When they arrived in front of the mountain, they were alarmed by the murderous aura inside. They frowned and looked at the valley. "What is this place?" Greed frowned. This godforsaken place made him feel the aura of death. People in the Greed Plain didn't know. Even the 9 Serenities' mountain master didn't know the origin of the god Extinction Mountain. Only the Prime Clear High God had heard of it. "Everyone, this is the god Extinction Mountain. I heard that it was an ancient battlefield. Countless people died and it became a cursed land. Anyone who entered would be cursed. Even a middle perfection great sage would die if he entered. I've only heard of it, but this legend can't be taken seriously. Therefore, I've never entered to investigate," the Prime Clear High God said calmly. "God Extinction Mountain?" Greedy Wolf High Holiness was disdainful. He looked down upon the entire mythical plane. If it weren't for the 9 linked mountains, he could destroy the mythical plane in a matter of minutes. When he heard the name of the ultimate god, he sneered and said, "I'd like to see what kind of misfortune this place has to stop the supreme gods." The Greedy Wolf exalted and the experts of the Greedy Wolf Plain were disdainful. They did not wait for Yi Qinghan and the others to rush in. This was also the first time that the 9-linked mountain lord had heard of this place. Very curious, he led the group deeper into the mountain range. The 4 gods of the 3 pure divine kingdom hesitated for a moment. Seeing that the dozens of superior gods had all gone in, they knew that no one could hurt them unless the main god came personally. So, they followed them in. Yi Qinghan rushed over from afar with the 7-foot crazed hammer in his hand and Emperor Yi on his shoulder. He maintained his battle stance, and when he saw that these people had actually taken the initiative to run into God's End Mountain, he immediately sneered and thought to himself, "You really don't want to take the path to heaven, but you just have to barge into the gates of hell." Whoosh, the 30 people of the crazed mansion flew towards God's End Mountain. The few superior gods of the mythical plane seemed to know about God's End Mountain and stopped in their tracks. "God Lord Yi, this is God's End Mountain. Can we really go in?" Long Yuan asked with a frown. The martial arts grand ancestor stopped in front of the valley. "God's End Mountain. Outsiders really can't enter, but I have no problem. Follow me in and make a big commotion. I want to see the look of regret on the faces of the Greedy Wolf Exalted and the 9-linked Mountain Lord." Yi Qinghan chuckled and rushed in with Emperor Yi. Whoosh! As soon as the Greedy Wolf Exalted entered God's End Mountain, a gust of cold wind blew past, causing the superior gods to tremble. The world in front of them was even more desolate than hell. There was no sign of life at all. There was not even a single blade of grass. Apart from crushed gravel and ghastly deep ravines, there was nothing else. The broken bones had been weathered and turned into powder when the cold wind blew. The broken weapons had also decayed. One could imagine how fierce the battles between the armies were during the ancient times. The entire mountain and river were red and dim. It made one feel hopeless. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, especially the higher-level priests. They didn't know that there was such a gloomy and cold place in the mythological dimension. The moment they entered this place, they felt a gloomy and cold aura drilling into their bodies. Even their divine clothes couldn't protect them. The power of the curse began to appear, and the exalted god felt goosebumps all over his body. He had the same reaction as Yi Qinghan and the others back then. Some of the higher-level priests with weaker cultivations and weak minds fell into the illusion on the spot. Their pupils constricted, and their eyes were filled with fear. "Humph! Who are you? How dare you play tricks here?" Are you looking for death? The greedy wolf exalted scolded. Boom! His voice exploded, rumbling endlessly, rushing into the depths. Even space itself was trembling. In the depths, a vague figure was floating. Even the superior gods like the greedy wolf exalted and the master of the nine-linked mountain could not see it clearly. Sinners who disturb the slumber of the heroic spirits, you will die in fear. I curse you to see misfortune and die in despair. The intermittent curse exploded in the sea of consciousness of the heroes. The master of the nine-linked mountain felt disgusted. He yelled, "This is the curse of the wizard tribe of the chaos. Get out of here!" However, many people's eyes were filled with fear. The more powerful one was, the stronger the power of the curse. The master of the nine-linked mountain and the greedy wolf exalted felt as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on their heads. Their legs were heavier than lead. They wanted to retreat, but their legs would not listen to them. Kill. Those who were not strong enough started to hallucinate. They pulled out their swords and slashed as if they had fallen into an ancient battlefield. There were thousands of enemies in front of them. The superior gods were everywhere. They were the lowest level of cannon fodder. Boom! The greedy wolf exalted was a powerhouse after all. His soul was strong. He blocked the curse for the time being. He charged backward, wanting to leave God Extinction Mountain. His foot shattered mountains and rivers. His aura was terrifying. However, Mountain Lord Nine-Linked charged in the opposite direction. He tore through the void with his palm in an attempt to suppress the afterimage. He knew that in order to break the curse technique, he had to kill the person who cast the curse technique. That afterimage could very well be the person who cast the curse technique. Whoosh! The giant palm that blotted out the sky shattered time and space. Sand and pebbles flew from the ground. His combat strength was on full display. It made the world understand how terrifying a half-step Lord-level ability was. The master of the nine-linked mountains attack helped some people break free from the terrifying illusion. However, their souls were weak, and their auras were about to freeze. They did not have much combat strength left. They could only watch as the master of the nine-linked mountain pounced on the afterimage. Boom! When the giant palm that blotted out the sky approached the afterimage, the guardian's combat strength was activated. He casually waved his hand and counterattacked. He shattered the giant palm with a punch. The punch was unstoppable. It landed on the master of the nine-linked mountain's chest. Pfft! The master of the nine-linked mountain coughed up blood and flew backward. He shot toward the heroes like an arrow. His body almost exploded. Everyone's pupils shrank. That afterimage was too terrifying. Was it a lord? The master of the nine-linked mountain could not withstand a single blow from him. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.